Hi guys, welcome to Counterpoints. My name's Connor. I'm a science fiction, politics, and philosophy nerd, a Marine Corps and law enforcement veteran, and today I got a little bit of psychic damage for you. Candace Owens has been destroying the online right. For those of you who don't know, we're actually going to be kind of doing a biographical coverage of Candace Owens. Candace Owens is a gal who, just to give you a quick summary, in high school, she was bullied for being black. And she sued the school district, and she also started a startup company called Social Autopsy. And her plan was to create a digital archive of people who engaged in harassing, sexist, racist, antisocial behavior, and then to attach those social media profiles to their real world personalities. That way it was a searchable database that you could use in order to find people who engaged in bad online behavior. Now, this was wildly unpopular at the time, and so as a result, she was bullied out of this project. Well, what she did, because she also doesn't like trans people or gay people, and she's Christian and all these other things, despite being harassed for being a black woman in high school to the point that she sued a school district, she decided to shift from left to right. And she went viral. Right now, she's she's going by the name Red Pill Black on a little bit of content that I'm going to show you in a moment. And she engaged with characters like Dave Rubin 8 years ago. And for those of you who don't remember Dave Rubin is a liberal who, quote unquote, left the left because the left got too crazy. And he became a nexus for what was referred to at the time as the intellectual dark web. Effectively, liberals who had become upset with the insanity of the left and as a result defected to the right wing or the center right. So Red Pill Black, aka Candace Owens, was first platformed, in my opinion, on the Dave Rubin show. Now, after that, she was kind of invited because she's young, she's attractive, she's a black woman, she's able to string sentences together without a lot of filler words, and therefore she fit an interesting rhetorical and political niche as a articulate black conservative. So she was invited on after that in order to debate Blair White on the trans agenda. She got hired by TPUSA. She was then hired by Daily Wire. Then she left Daily Wire because she was too critical of Israel and she had a falling out with Ben Shapiro. And now she's engaging in schizophrenic conspiracy theories because the truth is she's kind of a moron. She's been a moron her entire digital media career. It's actually really frustrating to see somebody who, because they're attractive and because they're articulate, even if they have like a 92 IQ, they just become multimillionaires by having a brand back them into the stratosphere. And so characters like Ben Shapiro, who was the host and one of the business managers of Daily Wire, people like Dave Rubin, people like Tim Pool, who have platformed this person and shot them up into the stratosphere, I think they're responsible for Candace Owens now turning around and becoming a conspiracy theorist schizophrenic who is now destroying the right wing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pull up some Candace Owens OG content. We're just going to watch it for vibes for a second. And then once we're sick of the vibes, we're going to move into the same next content chronologically until we kind of climax with her calling Tim Pool a estrogenic moron. so let's just get a little bit of vibes first, a little bit of vibes. All right.
That the project that I'm doing is bad, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
So she calls me up and I have no idea who she is. I don't know what Gamergate is. I don't know what doxing means. And she says, you have to pull your project because people actually don't want to find out who harassed them. She said, I'm a victim, but I never want to know who harassed me on the internet. Like she was basically arguing a point that didn't make sense. If she was actually harassed on the internet, then obviously my technology would be a godsend because they never figured out who harassed her. And I said, I appreciate the phone call. This isn't really making sense to me.
Yeah. It sounds literally the reverse of what you think she would have called you to say.
Absolutely. Okay. Like she should have been on board with what I was doing. So totally appreciate the phone call, but I'm not going to pull my Kickstarter. And she started crying. And she said, if you don't, it's going to ruin everything. And she told me that she spends time on 4chan because of what she does. And she saw that people were already talking about my project. And if I didn't pull it, they, these anonymous white men and Trump supporters, you have to remember this was during the election cycle, were going to come after me and dox my family, which essentially means put up their personal information so people can try to kill them. That's what she says.
So she said this is what they are going to do. So she was oddly threatening you with being doxxed, but it wasn't she that was going to dox you.
She thought I was a total moron, I think, you know, and I'm like, okay, I'm not pulling my project. She hangs up the phone crying. Within 2 hours, we were absolutely inundated. About 4,000 emails via Kickstarter. Like,
so what she's doing here, yes, they, them, the proverbial they, them harmonic, Fox. So what's going on here that I think should have been a red flag to everyone? Christian Blair says, what does this have to do with the recent drama? Well, I didn't even expect to really get anywhere necessarily with this. I was just trying to go through the vibes. But for those of you who don't understand what's going on, she's insinuating that an employee of Twitter called her in order to kill her doxing project, her effectively her what they call it, social autopsy, and that she vaguely threatened and cried, saying that it was going to ruin everything. And then within 2 hours of having that conversation, she was doxed and harassed and swatted. What she's saying is that the right-wing trolls on the internet is actually a left-wing psyop. That's what she's saying right now. She is feeding a conspiracy theory that when 8chan, when 4chan, when Kiwi Farms, when all these websites go after you, it's actually not the right wing who's doing it. It's the left wing doing it because they want you to think that the right wing is super bad. Okay. And maybe social media platforms are actually engaging in harassment. Fatsimo says, no, she's not. That's what she just said. What are you talking about, Fatsimo? What are you talking about? What? Literally, she's saying that a Twitter employee who worked for Trust and Safety called her in order to say that what you're doing is going to ruin everything. Fatsimo, for the love of God, please explain to me how you don't understand this. Explain it. Fatsimo, please explain it. There's no way you can explain it. I have to draw you a map. Dude, I hate to do this early in the content. I know it slows down the content. I know we lose VOD viewers, but I want you to think about this real quick. Dude, what? So hold on. So let's say this, okay? This is the current thought. Let me make it a chronological progression. Give him a timer to explain. Yeah. He can take his time. This feminist activist. No shit. That doesn't change anything I've said. Do you want me to rewind it and find out exactly who it is? I could find out exactly who it is. The right wing doxes. Oh, dude, let me reduce the size. Right wing doxes and harasses people using websites like 4chan, 8chan, Kiwi Farms, etc. I don't care if it's a progressive lefty. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I can't explain it. I'd have to look it up. So why are you saying laugh my ass off? No. Candace Owens, aka Red Pill Black, creates website to doxers and harass, not harass them, and hold them accountable for bad online behavior. Progressive left-winger calls her on the phone and says, this will ruin everything. People don't want to know who is harassing them. Dude, the fact that why the fuck are you guys defending this if you don't know anything about it? Well, I mean, I hope you're talking to Fatsimo because I feel like I'm following the narrative through line exactly. I feel like I'm following the narrative through line exactly. So for me, this leads you to an insinuation. Do people who are fans of Candace Owens, do they not just understand insinuations? Is that what's going on? They just don't understand what an insinuation or an inference is. To insinuate or imply something means that you are trying, as a matter of fact, let's not even use my words for it. Let's not even use my words for it because Lord knows I'm an R slur. So let's Google insinuate. Insinuate, definition, to suggest or hint at something reprehensible in an indirect or unpleasant way. Okay. Imply, definition, strongly suggesting the truth or existence of something that is not expressly stated. And then infer, Gen X is going to love this, deduce or conclude information from evidence and reasoning rather than explicit statements. So Harmonic Fox gave us, thank you, Harmonic, by the way. Thank you for the membership and thank you for the donation. Progressive leftism is a viral disease, parentheses joking. Are you, though? And by the way, thank you to Fellrunner, Harmonic Fox for the, thank you to Fellrunner for the 5. Thank you to Harmonix for the membership. Thank you to Harmonix for the super chat. Parasocial love, like to stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. So Gen X should really love the fact that I just explained inference and implication. I'm going to skip the red pill black situation, but I'm going to go back to this drawing because I think it's just true. All right. Doobie says, pretending the reason their doxman info was posted in his chat was so his schizo community would fuck with them IRL, Valor Media Network. Okay, yeah, I think Destiny is engaged in doxing and harassing the people who he believes are doxing and harassing him. And you can make arguments that I would have to pull up my tit for tat drawing because that's not related exactly to what we're doing. What we're objecting to, pictures. Sorry, real quick. I'm just going to do a brief aside for Doobie. So if you don't understand this real quick, within this drawing, I'm telling Steven to turn the other cheek. I'm saying, hey man, these people aren't worth your time. Just go away. Right? Just ignore them. They're going to go away. They're small internet freaks. And if you stop engaging in bad behavior, they're not going to have anything against you. So just walk away. That's what I'm telling Steven. What Steven is saying is that he's entitled to tit for tat, which is that if they fuck with him, he's entitled to fuck with them, maybe in a different way. And then 10% of the time, he could be reciprocal, but he's not going to because let's be real, Destiny wants scorched earth. What Destiny arguably is doing is eye for an eye with some people where, for instance, like Esports Batman, I think has participated in doxing in Kiwi Farms in the past, or at least he's like a big guy on Kiwi Farms. So you could say that this is eye for an eye. And then, but you're accusing him of, which I think is potentially true, is he's engaging in barbarian retributive violence, where anyone who is involved in any way with slighting his tribe, he's going to try to fuck with them, right? So, Doobie, you are arguing that you know him better than to just accept that they're doxing and harassing me bullshit. Okay. But this is what you're saying. You're saying that that Steven is engaged in barbarian retributive violence. That's what you're saying. Anyways, but let's get back to this, okay? Because Fatsimo said something. So right wing, the narrative, okay, the common narrative at this time, approximately 8 years ago, is that right wing incels and volcels and schizos are on the internet and they're Trump people and they're MAGA people and they're Nazis and they're this and they're that, and they are digitally harassing people. Okay, that's the narrative that's common at the time. Candace Owens, old school, Connor hasn't changed. Eat a dick, old school. If you don't want to hang out my chat, don't hang out my chat. How about that? Candace Owens, aka Red Pill Black, creates a website to dox doxers and hold them accountable for the bad online behavior. A left-winger calls her and says, hey, this is going to ruin everything. We don't want to know the people who are doing the harassing. Okay? The implication, you can say this is not an implication, but I think this is a clear implication. The left wing is engaged in gay psyops to make the right look worse through online harassment, and Candace's project will expose the left. This is absolutely the implication. So please tell me how I'm wrong. I'll save this. This will be Fatsimo, Candace, sweeping. Anyways, so let's go back. You guys are arguing about something that I don't even know if I give a shit about. So let's go here and let's check out Candace Owens, because this should have been the first red flag. And I think it was the first, that might not have been a red flag for me at the time, where maybe because I was swimming in these circles and I was watching Dave Rubin and I thought Dave Rubin was just a relatively neutral, liberal-ish platform on which many people went, including Milo Yiannopoulos, who I liked at the time, Lauren Southern, who I liked at the time, Sargon of Akkad, who I liked at the time, Chris Reagan, who I liked at the time. That was Dave Rubin. And Dave Rubin was always like, I want to talk to everybody. I want to talk to far lefties. I want to talk to far righties. I want to talk to everybody. And then he just never had any far lefties on. Can we dox Destiny when he's wrong about court docs? Yeah, sure. Go for it. Go for it. Because you, Doobie, if you got doxed, let's say that you did nothing wrong. You guys keep distracting with the Destiny shit. You guys just want to talk about Destiny? Do you just want to do the Destiny dick watching traffic helicopter? Is that what you want? I think that's what you guys want. Not my actual chat, not my actual fans. I think everybody else would freak out. But Doobie and a few other people, Doobie and Old School and a few other people, they want the Destiny dick watching traffic helicopter. See, Evan, no. Connor, are you okay with being doxxed if you're wrong about esports being a KFer? Okay, give me the esports lore. Okay, tell me the esports lore. Is he just a Discord guy? He's just a Discord guy. He's not a Kiwi farmer. All right. Anyways, who cares? So the point is, wait, what were we talking about? Doobie. If we do not care about Destiny drama. Okay, cool. Then mods. We're going to do this. We're going to do this now. Okay. We're going to hit the Destiny dick watching traffic helicopter for another 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Then we are going to move into the Candace Owens content that we're allegedly doing. And then after that, if you guys keep bringing up Destiny while we're trying to move narratively through the Candace content, we're going to time you out. Mods, stand by to twist their balls. Okay? So, so Doobie, let's say that mods, get ready to twist their balls. Okay, so let's say that Doobie is an innocent party, and the worst thing that he did, provably, was in Discord, where he was just talking shit about Destiny a little bit and saying that he thinks he's a bad guy. And then Destiny doxes Doobie. Okay, he takes his personal information, private information, Facebook accounts, Instagram, his YouTube channel, this, that, the other. He blasts it out to the internet. Tens of thousands of people now know his personal information. And as a result, Doobie is being harassed. Well, therefore, I would advocate for both Destiny and Doobie to, quote unquote, turn the other cheek. Because what happens typically with like a doxing scenario is it's going to last 2 weeks. Okay. People will be outraged by your conduct. They'll think you're a piece of shit. They'll do this. They'll do that. They'll call your boss. They'll call your employer. They'll call your wife. They'll whatever. And then after 2 weeks, they get bored. And and then, sorry, I'm getting contradictory information in chat. But effectively, like, they'll get bored and they'll move on. And so turning the other cheek, realistically, is actually probably the best move when you're in conflict with Kiwi farmers, because they're anonymous. How are you going to hold them accountable? How are you going to engage in tit for tat, right? Isn't the whole point of Kiwi farms that it's an anonymous gossip forum where they purposefully don't track people's information, right? And then with tit for tat, you could engage in tit for tat, but you have to find the people. And so finding a bunch of random screen names in Kiwi farms, but then harassing the people who are shit talking you on Discord doesn't mean that you're going to be accurate, right? So you're not able to engage in tit for tat in that way. So at that point, you're doing like eye for an eye or barbarian retributive violence. And that's what you're talking about, where Doobie is saying that, well, Destiny's not turning the other cheek. He's not even engaged in tit for tat. He's engaged in barbarian retributive violence where anybody who's his opponent, he's attacking. Okay. So that's what you're effectively saying. And I don't care because once again, I'm telling Destiny to turn the other cheek. I'm telling everyone to turn the other cheek. You're all fucking adults and you need to grow the fuck up. 101602 says, Connor, you want the standard to be someone can say that another person is a KFer and then their blood is halal to spill? You're serious right now? I don't think I ever said that, 10. I don't give a shit if you're a Kiwi farmer. Isn't the whole narrative from commentary? Sorry, I'm engaging with these schizos. Mods, stand by to twist balls, okay? Isn't the standard that Kiwi Farms is just a gossip forum? Isn't that the standard? So if Kiwi Farms is just a gossip forum where people say abrasive shit, then why do I give a fuck if you're a Kiwi farmer? I don't care. Be a Kiwi farmer. Go on there, fucking jerk yourself raw over cringe drama. I don't give a shit. Why do you care? I don't care. Destiny is saying people are Kiwi farmer. Okay, and what's wrong with being a Kiwi farmer? If you engage on Kiwi farms and it's just a simple drama forum, then why are you freaking out that people are accusing you of being a Kiwi farmer? Are you doing something bad on Kiwi Farms? I thought Kiwi Farms was just a sweet, cute, ooh-woo, kawaii drama forum. What's the problem? You got about 30 seconds to respond before we move on. Goddamn, Connor Mog the Schizos. Officer Nasty, are you saying good straw man to me? Because it doesn't seem like you enjoy my content. So if you're talking to me, maybe you'd be at home someplace else. He says that's a Kiwi farm and then puts random people's info on Docspin. Okay, he's an asshole. I already said that. What else do you want? What do you want? You must disavow Destiny and also admit it's a genocide and also admit the West is the cause of Islam extremism. Okay. Doobie's right. I don't think I'm going to save Destiny from himself. I'm not Captain Save a Ho. I'm not Captain Save a Bro. All I can do is tell Destiny what I think is correct, and so far he has not listened. Before you went unhinged recently, lol. What the fuck did I say that was unhinged? I stand by everything I've said. Okay, I haven't gotten a substantive response. So effectively, we're done with Destiny unless I feel like it. I can talk about Destiny. You can't. So if Pisco's going to be on, I'll switch to Lonerbox or Nux Taku. Let's be real about this. So what Old School just said is if Connor talks to Pisco, I'm going to switch to Lonerbox, who is a decent guy. He's, polyamorous, good liberal progressive coverage content. Or Nux Taku. Isn't Nux Taku like a MAGA Trump dick sucker contrarian right winger right now? And isn't his past the fact that he used to bring on people in order to watch lolly content together and then be like, oh, isn't this cringe? This 20-year-old uncle is having sex with a 13-year-old girl. Isn't this cringe? But then they would just sit there and watch lolicon together. Yeah, Doobie says you went unhinged with me when you disagreed with me about the Whovies. All right, I'm about to give the ball twisting order. Din1602 says, no, I don't care about a disavow, but if you're repeating things that Destiny is saying uncritically, then that's happening. That's the issue. But yep, happy to drop it. Okay, let's drop it. Let's drop it. So now, we're done. Okay. We're done. All right. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about Candace Owens being a bitch to Blair White. We're going to talk about her being a conspiracy theorist. And we're going to talk about Tim Pool freaking out on Candace Owens. If you say from this moment forward, okay, if I bring up Destiny, That's fine. And maybe we could have a nuanced conversation about the topic. However, mods, you have my permission to twist the balls of anyone who talks about Destiny, Doxbin, or anything like that. I don't want them banned. I want them suspended, because we can do that as content. I don't care if we do it as content in the future, but that is not the content we're doing right now. You can talk about Destiny, the video game. That's fine. All right. Anyways, back to it. So, in summary, for what we figured out so far, because this chat, this VOD is going to be all over the place. Candace Owens went by Red Pill Black. She was a part of the Left thing. She created a Kickstarter and a website called Social Autopsy, where she planned on doxing the doxers. And then she abandoned that project and moved to be a conservative commentator, a left conservative commentator. And she already had some socially conservative perspectives, including, I think she was a devout Christian, and she did not like trans people. And so her grift was facilitated by her conversation with Blair White, where Dave Rubin, trying to make peace and coalitions amongst contrarian right-wing creators, she had on old school Blair White before some of the plastic surgery that Blair White, I think that's Blair White's original nose right there. Blair White, who is a trans creator, she is a passoid, she is a pretty girl. And then she just had Candace Owens on trying to build a bridge between these two, and it goes terribly. So let's go ahead and just watch a minute or two of Candace Owens talking to Blair White.
Is it? That is a rare. I think we have a couple 4-timers, but you might be the 1 3-timer right now.
We'll go for 4 next time.
We will definitely go for 4. But you are an absolutely outspoken and I think irreverent fighter against so many of the forces that I'm fighting against all the time, and both of you, I think, are fearless defenders of the things that you care about. Just a couple other quick things. I think that the 3 of us sitting here, if I dare use a little of identity politics against itself for a moment.
Gay, trans, black?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
A black conservative, a trans woman who really leans right. If not, do you call yourself a conservative?
Yeah, it's easiest.
Okay, so we've got a black conservative, a trans conservative, a gay liberal, but I'm an old school liberal, which is everything against identity politics these days. And I know none of us care about that stuff per se, but I think it's important just to put it out there that we're doing this, and that in and of itself is a little bit of a statement right there. Mm-hmm. And we're doing this face to face. And more importantly than anything else, perhaps, we all were lefties.
Yes.
We all were on the other side of perhaps where we're at now politically.
Yeah, it was wildly different.
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Yeah, that's not that long ago. You were wildly different.
18 months ago.
18 months ago, and I've kind of...
So this is what pisses me off about the new right, or the new right wing, or the MAGA movement, or whatever the fuck. So what happened is, I think it started with principled objections to the left, right? The woke culture, the suffocating presence of Orwellian terms of service on the internet, progressive programming going too far, all that kind of stuff. I think all of that stuff was either valid, or even if it wasn't valid, if lefties are going to say that it's not valid, it was at least the sentiment was prevalent enough in the time to create this movement of liberals who were repulsed by progressives and leftists. And so what ended up happening was a whole bunch of people who were formerly considering themselves left-wing shifted right-wing because they could feel like the zeitgeist kind of going in that direction. Well, these people, in my opinion, don't have a principled attachment to the right, okay? They don't believe in conserving institutions because they believe that institutions are the vehicle of centuries, if not millennia, of wisdom. They don't believe in prioritizing institutions or representative democracy over direct democracy because the elites and the technocrats are actually the better people to lead society. They don't have any kind of, in my opinion, principled attachment to republicanism. They don't have any kind of like philosophical or historical understanding. What they do have is, this political tribe has attacked me for not following their orthodoxy. Therefore, I'm going to join a different political tribe and attack them back. And I feel that is a shallow, stupid, vapid way to engage with politics. And yet a shitload of people engage with politics that way.
And had a slow evolution over these last couple of years. And I think all of those things are worth saying because I think actually...
I'm going to fast forward a little bit because there's really only one thing that I want to get to, which is Candace Owens being a massive C word.
She posted something that said my predictions that I talked about. I'm not comfortable using the she pronoun, not because it's not anything to be disrespectful. It's just that a lot of people that follow me don't know that Blair is trans, and a lot of people that follow her maybe don't know me, vice versa. And I think that it betrays the audience when you make it sound like this is a petty catfight and there are two girls sitting across from a table, when in fact it is a grown man sitting across from a grown woman who has had a lot of things to say about me when I've never even met you or said negative comment about you. So I just want that to be very clear. Happy to, for the rest of this. Clear. Yeah, it should be known. Clear. We're both adults. You know, you're a grown man.
No, we're definitely.
So, listen, guys, can I pull this up real quick? Can I just pull up Blair White real quick? Blair White was the original Passoid. Okay, many of us know Taftaj. Blair White has, in my opinion, has had a little bit too much work. Okay, I don't know why girls, or if you think that this is a man or whatever, I don't know why they don't like their original nose. I think that this nose is infinitely better than the plastic surgery thin Michael Jackson nose. I hate the plastic surgery thin Michael Jackson nose. I think it's cringe. But anyways, she's obviously had chest surgery. She was obviously a thin person. She had, I guess, proportionately decent hips. And she already seemed kind of femme, right? So Blair is kind of the original Passoid in reference to online politics. And of course, like over the years, she's gotten surgery, she's done this, she's done that. So she's become more of a Passoid over time. But the truth is, like, if you saw this girl at a party, you would just be like, oh, this is a girl who has had a little bit of plastic surgery. She's kind of pretty. And that's about all you would think. Whereas even right here, you could be like, oh, yeah, she's a girl, right? But what Candace Owens insists upon, which seems like, I don't know, quite rude and antisocial, is she's like, well, just to let you know, I still think that you're male. I don't believe in the trans identity. I don't believe that, you know, like men can truly become women. Therefore, I think that you are suffering from a psychiatric disorder and you're alleviating the afflictions of that psychiatric disorder in an incorrect way. And effectively, at the end of the day, you're still a male, you're still a man. But for the sake of talking about our beliefs, I'm just not going to use pronouns at all in order to, you know, facilitate the conversation. But that's not what happens. I'm going to play a little bit more. What Candace Owens actually ends up doing is just, I think this just devolves into 30 minutes of Candace Owens saying, you're a man, you're a man, you're a man, you're a man, you're a man. And that's the entirety of the conversation. And then Dave Rubin's in the background trying to seize the conversation and make it more productive. But he's like, isn't it so nice, guys? Isn't it so great that we as people with different opinions can get together? Isn't it so great that we as three people who don't identify as left-wing can get together and share our opinions and stuff? Meanwhile, Candace is like, man, 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 man. Like that's basically what's going to happen. So let's take a look at what happens over the next minute or two.
Definitely adults. I just think it's interesting how you act like you're above the ad hominems and you're above attacking someone, when in reality, you and I both know that the situation is you're using those pronouns and you're saying what you're saying, calling me a grown man.
That's not an attack, that's a fact.
Let me finish that. You're doing that in a way to be passive-aggressive and petty, but in a way that your audience doesn't actually read, because you do have the very hardcore conservative audience, and so they're not really going to read it as petty. Everyone else will.
No, I don't want them to think that this is a cat fight between two girls. It's not. I'm saying that you are. No, it's very important because
it really isn't, though. But we can move on because it really isn't about how she dresses.
Me and biology really think you're a man. I'm happy to call you a she for the rest, so that we can move on from the pronoun thing and answer your question.
I would say, look,
But you have to start by calling me a man. Okay. But
I want to make it clear because I don't want to have to afterwards say, if this is your stance on trans, why did you sit across from a trans person and call them she? So I'm making it clear because, as we know, you guys like to dig up every single thing that I do and every single mannerism.
How have I dug up everything you've done? Out of everyone, Candace, there's been a lot of YouTubers that have come out against you. So I actually have a question before we go. Out of all the YouTubers who have dug stuff up about you, I never made a video. I'm a YouTuber. If I don't think something...
You jumped on a video.
I jumped on a video.
It was a 4-hour stream,
which I was on for probably 15 minutes.
An hour and 15 minutes, exactly.
I was not on a stream for an hour and 15 minutes.
You were on for an hour and 15 minutes until Barbara came on.
This seems like a cat fight, right? Goblin Studio says, just curious, how is this different from prostitutes like Bonnie Blue? To my knowledge, these people don't have sex for money. They talk for money.
Stream. I watched it.
I was not on for an hour and 15 minutes.
All right, so let's do this. Let's just to clean this up, so we don't. I just don't want to get too lost in the weeds of every little word. I think. Look, you guys know my feelings about free speech.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you what to say, how to refer to Blair, and Blair can obviously defend herself. We can do all that, but just so we don't get too lost in that stuff, let's just try to stick to the original story here. I think it's fine that you premised it that way. You defended yourself. I think that's totally fine. But we could end up in the back part of this forever.
Correct.
So. Let's just get to the how did this whole thing start?
Okay, so the backstory to the backstory. Obviously, you know about social autopsy, but there's a very relevant part of this, which is essentially that when I was in high school, I had an experience that happened to me, and it's something that I like to talk about factually, and I hate talking about it because it involves other people, and I'm out here talking about my opinions, my beliefs. When you're involving other people, I think it's a little unfair. When I was a junior.
Yeah, this is unfortunate. I'm gonna pause this real quick, but that's just because people are asking questions. So Short says, does Ruben still do the whole classical liberal thing, or does he give up on the shtick? I think he said that he's a MAGA conservative at this point. I think he's moved off of any pretense of classical liberalism. I think he even talked about converting to Christianity recently, which is crazy. Considering the audience that he's accumulated, that like when they found out that he was adopting a child with his gay husband, they freaked out about it. And then Doobie says, I used to love Milo. Dude, Milo's funny. I think that Milo's problem, though, is that I'll never forgive him for what he did to me. I still think I have his number. I don't know what Milo Yiannopoulos did to you, but Milo, in my opinion, unfortunately, he's just a liar who lies for attention. That's like my biggest problem with Milo Yiannopoulos. So I've DM'd him a couple of times. He's actually really nice in DMs. I'm surprised at how responsive he is. It's probably because he doesn't have that much to do these days. But realistically, I DM'd him a couple of times and I was like, hey, man, I used to like your old shit. Like, I used to like it when you were like a civic nationalist, anti-Muslim, but not like a total psycho. And you did like these publicity stunts, but you still were like, I don't know, like a liberal or a classical liberal or a contrarian right winger or whatever. I used to love all that shit. And he's like, yeah, well, you know, I'm not gay anymore and I'm super Christian. And then he goes on to like current media and he's like, yeah, Benny Johnson's gay, Charlie Kirk's gay, everybody's gay. And I'm like, what about your Christian conversion has made it okay for you to go on social media, look like you're high on drugs, and then just accuse people of bad behavior or being liars or homosexuals or whatever with no evidence? What about your Christian morality is informing your current podcast experiences? Because what it seems like, I'll just say it, it seems like Milo Yiannopoulos was an attention whore. That's what it seems like. It seems like Milo Yiannopoulos knew that there was room for a token gay on the right wing to be anti-mass immigration, anti-Islam, anti-Muslim. He capitalized on anti-immigrant sentiment in the late 2010s, but then he got canceled for being too edgy and being too attention-seeking when he joked or talked about how gay teenage boys engage in relationships with older gay men, and he was accused of being a pedophile, canceled from CPAC, cast out of the mainstream conservative movement, and he hasn't been able to recover since. Like, one of the things that he said where I was like, damn, Milo's super confident. He was like, oh, me getting banned from Twitter was one of the best things that ever happened to me. But he said that, and then he didn't follow up with a like social media revival that made him more relevant than before. He just fell off. And so I was like, oh shit, this guy isn't some like 4D chess playing genius. This is an attention whore who just says whatever will get him the most amount of eyeballs at any given point. And that's not a great basis on which to found your political ideology or political organization. All right. Anyways, let's let Candace Owens be a C word a little bit more, then we'll move to the next segment.
In high school, I received one night I was sitting on a couch with my boyfriend and I received anonymous phone calls. And at the end of watching Talladega Nights with my boyfriend, I picked up the phone, I listened to the voicemails, and they were people, 4 boys that were screaming back and forth, calling me a dirty nigger, saying we're going to tar and feather your family, saying we're going to do to you like we did to Martin Luther King, put a bullet in the back of your head, made references to Rosa Parks. It was really probably the nastiest thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. After hearing that, and by the way, this is not a victim story, it's just something that factually happened that you guys can all research. After hearing those voicemails, I went to school the next day, and I didn't call the cops or anything, but I was a little terrified because I did not know 4 people that wanted to see me dead and that hated me, period. I went to school the next day. The teacher essentially we were talking in a philosophy class. I brought up what had happened. It was like a moment where it made sense to bring up what happened the night before. And the teacher jumped up and said, like, you're going to the principal right now. You're reporting this. Like, that's very serious. Like, I want to take you right now. He picks me up, going to the principal's office, and she hears the voicemails, which I still had. There were 3 of them. And she made the decision to call the police. Like, totally I would have never called the police if I had done it the night before. It turns out by some random stroke of like super misfortune that one of the kids that was in the car when they left these voicemails happened to be the current governor of Connecticut's son. And where this would have normally been like maybe like a tap on the finger sort of a thing, this turned into an FBI investigation. And, you know,
Sorry, Groovy Harp said something really funny in chat. So you basically did the Norm Macdonald joke. For those of you who haven't seen it, Norm Macdonald, God rest his soul, was driving with Jerry Seinfeld in a car, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I was talking to this guy. It's another I was talking to Patton Oswalt the other day, and Patton Oswalt says, the worst thing about Bill Cosby is the hypocrisy. You know, that's the worst thing about Bill Cosby is that he's a hypocrite." And then Jerry Seinfeld's like, yeah, because like he has no idea where this conversation is going. And then Norm Macdonald was like, yeah, I thought that was weird. I mostly thought the worst thing about Bill Cosby was the rape. And Jerry Seinfeld loses it. And that's what Groovy Harps just did to me. He said, Connor's problem with Milo is lying. I'd say that my problem with Milo is the pedophilia. Oh man. Okay, so I'm just gonna dig into this a little bit because it's good memes. So Gay Zach, you got my regulars should remember Gay Zach. Okay, Gay Zach was a kid that I knew in high school. He was like 15 or 16. I was probably 16 or 17 when I met him, and we used to hang out. And back then in the thousands, having a token gay friend was you got a lot of social cachet for having a token gay friend. So Gay Zach was my token gay friend, and yet Gay Zach, over the course of 2 years that I knew him, he said he had me drop him off at his boyfriend's house. And I was like, yeah, I'm young, I'm hip, I'm liberal, I'm progressive. I don't care about marijuana, I don't care about gay people. I'm hip. And then I drop him off and I'm like, I see the guy, and the guy looks like me right now. He doesn't have a beard, but he looks like me, like age-wise. And I was like, hey, Zach, how old's your boyfriend? And he's like 36, something like that, like mid 30s, late 30s. And I was like, what the fuck? Why is a 15-year-old or 16-year-old boy dating a 35 or 36-year-old man? I'm about to call the cops. And then Zach's like, no, you don't get it. It's totally consensual. Like, I love him. I love hanging out with him. He's a great guy. He's not a pedo. Like he blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, still like 30, 35 or 36 and fucking 15 or 35 and 16. That's fucking bananas. That's crazy. And he's like, no, it's super common, this, that, the other. So when Milo said it's incredibly common for young gay men to be socially isolated, to be scared, to be getting bullied, to not want to date another kid at high school because they're both going to get bullied. Therefore, a lot of young gay teenagers date people outside of their age range. That was in line with my experience. And that, you know, because I met gay Zach, had that anecdote, et cetera, et cetera. Then not just that, but Zach, because I have to tell this story as well, maybe about a year later, we were still like friendly, but we weren't hanging out as much. He came up to me, obviously like high out of his mind. And at the movie theater, because everybody was hanging out at the movie theater, and he's like, oh yeah, I just came from a party and it was an orgy and there was like 30 people there and nobody was wearing condoms and we were doing meth. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, why are there 30 gay men having an orgy without condoms doing hard drugs? What the fuck is wrong with you? And I kind of told him that. I was like, dude, like you're saying that like it's a cool thing. That sounds fucking crazy. That sounds like a way to get diseases or get killed or overdose on drugs. What the fuck is wrong with you? And he's like, no, it's normal. It's a party scene. And I was like, why is a 16 or 17-year-old boy going to a gay orgy and doing hard drugs? That's fucking bananas. How come nobody's carding? Like let alone the fact that it's a meth fueled orgy. What the fuck? Why are they letting a 17-year-old in? This is fucking crazy. So anyways, I do have bisexual members in my chat. I do have gay members in my chat. And whenever I say, like, listen, the party scene in the male homosexual community is fucking crazy, maybe 30% of the community is like, no, you don't know what you're talking about, this, that, the other. But 70% of the people are like, yeah, it's fucking bananas. There are orgies, hard drugs, people just hooking up in bathrooms, people doing crazy shit, and they're proud of it. So yeah, so anyways, the point is that like Milo saying that he was a teenager who dated somebody earlier, that he was the person who molested his priest, this, that, the other. While I don't condone at all promoting this behavior as socially acceptable or good or normal, if he was being descriptive, that description matches the anecdotes I got from my gay friend in the 2000s. And I think Milo and I are approximately the same age. Anyways, let's move on from gay sex. That was kind of like a long gay segment. Point being, I'm just going to summarize this because I want to move into the next content. Candace Owens is a B word. The anti-SJWs try to call her out for doing the social autopsy project because obviously if Candace Owens created a doxing website, then that would have hurt the Gamergate movement. It would have hurt 4chan. It would have hurt online trolling. It would have, fucked with internet anonymity, which is important for dissident right-wing thought. And so Candace Owens gets shit talked for being a part of social autopsy and trying to create social autopsy. And then, Candace Owens just goes male. And that's the debate. And that's kind of where I realized that Candace Owens is a bitch. She's a huge bitch. Because instead of having a conversation about ideas and about like what social autopsy was, what's the good parts, what's the bad parts, let's have a conversation about transgenderism, what's the biblical perspective versus a secular perspective, what's good, what's bad. You could have had an interesting conversation about both topics, but instead she was just a huge B word. And so what ends up happening, in my opinion, I don't know this to be true, and I'm not going to research it. I'm just gonna go from the cuff. I remember Dave Rubin saying that he went to a conservative conference with Candace Owens. Candace Owens went over to talk with Charlie Kirk. After 5 to 10 minutes of talking, Candace Owens comes back and says, I think I have a job. And then I think she went to work for TPUSA. And then after working for TPUSA for a bit, I think Daily Wire poached her and hired her to be a conservative commentator. Daily Wire, of course, being the Ben Shapiro outfit. So here's a 1-minute announcement of Candace Owens coming over to Daily Wire. This is after TPUSA. This is after social autopsy. This is after the Blair White debate. And this is after she's proved that she is both a B word and she's kind of a conspiracy freak. So Ben Shapiro's an idiot. Let's take a look.
Are we good, guys? Are we rolling? Age of propaganda, and the media has done a really good job of creating a caricature of Candace Owens. what's going to be different about Candace at the Daily Wire? The timing right now is really crucial to stand up on a platform and to say, I'm here, I'm a conservative, I'm not apologizing. I'm really committed to changing things. I have the courage to stand by my convictions and genuinely believe in the importance of challenging ideas and the importance of debate. And that's why I'm really excited to join the Daily Wire team. This show is going to be uplifting, funny, political. This show is going to be all of the pieces of me.
Oh my God. I wish I was a young black woman instead of a 40-year-old veteran with arthritis. I really don't, but I think getting a job at the Daily Wire would be easier. I do think it'd be easier. Quick shill, like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. I want to shout out Harmonic Fox and Fell Runner for super chatting and gifting memberships today. I'm just going to say, I understand it's the holidays. People are busy. People are broke. People are buying presents. People are traveling. So if you're a little bit of extra brokies this month, no sweat. We'll be fine. But I did just want to shout that out. If you do have a little bit of extra money burning a hole in your pocket, your super chats and memberships are never required, but are always appreciated. And so this one is going to be, Erica Kirk goes off on conspiracy theorists. We're not going to watch the whole thing. Again, I'm just trying to move you through a narrative. And the narrative that we've gotten so far, like, so we got through the Daily Wire or whatever. What happens with the Daily Wire is Candace Owens always, I think, had conspiracy brain, where she was looking for ways to articulate that the deep state was after them, the deep state was after Trump. Everyone's trying to cancel Candace Owens because she's such a brave truth talker. And then that antagonistic contrarian instinct, I think it came into conflict with the Daily Wire because obviously the Daily Wire is a Zio-conservative organization. And what I mean by that is that there are national conservatives and Christian conservatives or Christian nationalists who do not believe that Jewish people should be a part of the conservative project. They are not civic nationalists. They do not view Jews as their co-nationalists. They view them as a rival political tribe that is trying to control both sides simultaneously. And so Ben Shapiro, as much as he is a socially conservative man, and as much as he lives socially conservative principles, he is a foreign intel asset to make sure that the United States does not become too hostile to Zionism. That is Ben Shapiro's role on the internet. And so that is obviously not going to rub Candace Owens well. Anonymous chatter for $10 says, Connie, if you're scrolling chronological chat, it's frozen on screen. Don't know if you're scrolling boomer points. No, I was just kind of, I'll stop it. I'm not scrolling chronological, but I will momentarily. Jen Winkler says, yes, all of the war raping is bad. Unfortunately, they all do it. Our CIA people even use anal torture techniques. That did not increase my interest in the CIA. Vokes gifted 5 Valor Media Network memberships. Thank you, King. Thank you, Vokes. Thank you, Anonymous Chatter. Thank you, Harmonic Fox. Thank you, Fell Runner, for supporting the stream so far. I will move through chronological chat, and I'll catch up current chat. I'm sorry, I just kind of went on a rant, and I'm still going to go on a rant right now. But anyways, so Candace Owens' contrarian line of thinking, her conspiracism, all that kind of stuff, it kind of came to a head where she was independently successful of Daily Wire at this point. Obviously, TPUSA boosted her. Obviously, Daily Wire boosted her. Obviously, Dave Rubin gave her a platform almost 8 years ago now. But what ended up happening was she was a brand unto herself with enough live viewers and enough post-recorded views that if she went independent, she could go independent. And so when it came to contract negotiations, I don't know if she broke her contract. I don't know if they broke their contract. I have no idea what the contract negotiations are. But it came to I can set a goal. I've always heard Chud Logic and I've always heard Chud Logic and Nick DiOrio talking about a goal. And I never did this. So I'm going to set a goal. can we get 5 super chats in the next hour? Nothing crazy, nothing too crazy. And if you give me 5 super chats in the next hour, I don't know what, tell me what you want. And I'll start a goal. I'm not going to do, one of the things that Ched is hostile to that I think is just true is tricks for treats. I'm not going to do any trick for treat that you guys want, but if it's reasonable, I'll do a trick for a treat. Anyways, she went independent and she started criticizing Israel. She started criticizing Daily Wire. She started criticizing Ben Shapiro. She's become an anti-Zionist. She used the Palestinian, the conflict since October 7, 2023, the alleged Palestinian genocide, not as a way to, in my opinion, really coming for the Palestinians, not really like being like, oh, the Palestinians are right. The Palestinians need to do this. The Palestinians need to do that. That's not what she did. But what she did is she did use it as a jumping off point in order to criticize Israel and criticize Jews and criticize Zionism and criticize Daily Wire and criticize Ben Shapiro. And then that became a ugly part of the lore. And then now, since then, since she's been independent, she obviously has enough money to create her own studio. She created her own studio. She went independent. She hired her own employees. She started live streaming. She started podcasting. She gets crazy numbers, dude. Look at this. 5.66 million subscribers with 2 million views on a live stream from 18 hours ago. Now, half the people who are checking this out are probably actually like hate watching, but even if half the people are watching, that's still 900,000 views. The way that I view, especially, Jesus Christ, Christian Valeris, Christ on a cracker, you guys are fucking nuts. I parasocially love you. Thank you. Anonymous chatter for 5, super chat number 1, Starhawks for 2 says favorite Christmas drink. I don't think I have a favorite Christmas drink, but I do fuck with eggnog. I think eggnog is great. AKA Batu Sai with 2 says, what does the goal earn? No idea. Let's figure it out together. I will do a reasonable trick for treats. And then Christian Valeris just blew it out of the effing water with $100 super chat. I don't have any content ideas. The chat fighting has been entertaining today. Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. Thank you, Christian Valeris. Jesus Christ. Sorry to take the Lord's name in vain during the Christmas season. Holy Fazoli. Thank you kindly, King. All right, sorry. We'll get back to it. But effectively, she's become schizophrenic for money, and her viewership is through the fucking roof. I expect a healthy chat, a healthy channel to get 10% of viewership for its subs. So if Candace Owens was posting daily and she got 500,000 views, and she got 500,000 views every day that she posted, I would think that she had a healthy channel. The fact that she has 2 million views means that despite the fact that she has a schizophrenic break from reality, she has a wildly healthy and lucrative channel. And Jesus Christ, guys, did you smash the goal? I think you just smashed the goal. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 7 super chats, and I set the 5 goal super chat immediately, and then the goal already reset. You guys are fucking bananas. Thank you. Old school with the 5. Hey, Grill Hottest, I've invested in some good chef knives. Now I need a good cutting board, which won't dull them. Any suggestions? Please help out Old School in chat. Fell Runner with the 5. I want a Hanukkah History Points episode next week. Okay, that's an interesting challenge. All right, anyways, I'm sorry for the yapping. Let's get into Candace Owens yapping and being schizophrenic, and we'll break it down. Seriously, thank you guys for the support. Good God.
Guys, now, I wasn't sure about Erica. I was waiting kind of a situation for her to be in, obviously, having lost her husband, becoming the CEO and the chairman of a company. It's just a lot of transition, and it's nice to wait for more information before you prejudge or just make an assumption about somebody, and it maybe is not based in reality. Well, we are getting a lot more of Erica Kirk this week. I'll tell you that, because she has been doing the rounds in the media really over the last couple of weeks. And she just gave an interview live with Harris Faulkner on Fox News, where she finally addressed the quote unquote conspiracy theories. And I have to say this because it's true.
but it completely missed the mark. For me, I am sorry, it just has. But the good news is that she is now unmurkying the water in terms of her intentions with this massive political organization. That's good news, truly, because we knew Charlie, and now we are getting an opportunity to know Erica. Plus, later on in the show, it's Knives Out for Tucker Carlson. As always, he's trending right now because he has officially waded into the who killed Charlie Kirk narrative. And since he is not a bought and paid for Fed, he is siding with not just the American people, people worldwide. And he says that he's not buying the official narrative. And there are some lingering questions. And he confirms what I told you about the Egyptian planes. So let's jump right back into this. Welcome back.
I want you to think about this real quick, okay? What do Egyptian planes, in order for a sniper to shoot Charlie Kirk, why would you need Egyptian planes? In order to shoot Charlie Kirk, why would you need Israeli Mossad? Why would you need any of this shit? Like it's actually as simple as somebody gets shot. Why are half a dozen foreign nations involving themselves in a single political assassination and operation? And cui bono? Why? How would Egypt, if the Zionists took over TPUSA afterwards? No, Doobie says, did you watch her video explaining the Egyptian plane thing? No, but feel free to explain it in the chat. But what the fuck? What the fuck are we talking about, man? What are we talking about? And Doobie, feel free to explain. I will be scrolling through chronological chat, and let's continue.
Back to Candace.
Nice. Sacred Snow with the 5. Speaking of Knives Out for Tucker Carlson, a new Knives Out movie dropped on Netflix, and I really enjoy those films. I do a lot. I like the Benoit rants at the end. Doobie says, you can't, what the F, this poor woman, if you aren't following the trail with her. Okay. Okay, man. Okay.
Look, I have been very patient. I do tend to focus on the evidence that's in front of us, obviously asking questions when we come up across something that someone has said and it doesn't add up, or if they lied, create a list. And you guys were coming after me because I was saying, look, we can write into our imaginations how Erica is thinking or how she's feeling or what she should be wearing, but she hasn't actually said anything yet, right? That was my stance. She hasn't actually said anything yet. Give her a chance, okay? And now she is making the rounds in the press because Charlie's book, his posthumous book, is coming out about the Sabbath. And she's speaking about the quote unquote conspiracies as she sits down with a lot of these news anchors. So first and foremost, she's sitting down here with Harris Faulkner. And I just want to show you a couple of clips from this sit down, which is now trending. And she begins by addressing the question, which has been in the air, regarding where Charlie Kirk is buried. That question resurfaced this week in a big way because Milo Yiannopoulos and a few others have asserted with absolute certainty that Charlie has not yet been buried. That's what they're saying. They say they have proof of that. And at first, Harris Faulkner is asking about that claim. Take a listen.
Talk to me about this.
Yeah, Doobie says, if I recall, the main narrative is basically that Charlie Kirk was beginning to question Israel's influence in the U.S. due to Epstein, Iran, etc. This caused some of his Jewish billionaire donors to pull support. Yeah, but that makes more sense. They had a meeting in person with one of these billionaires and a few others. Charlie left that meeting saying he felt like he was being blackmailed. Well, he might be. But at the same time, like, do you understand? Sorry, I'm just going to say this from my chat. A political assassination, if it was coordinated, well, it might take a few weeks. Okay. Would take time, right? It would take time to plan, meaning that you would have to find an assassin and you would have to hire them and you would have to make sure they weren't going to screw you over after the fact, and they would have to do this and they would have to do that. And as far as I know, political assassinations in the Western world, as far as like hired hitman, is actually kind of difficult. Like almost all the time, if you Google like hitman in the context of the United States, it's effectively like cops selling their services to be hitmen and then busting the people who try to hire assassins. I hear about that way more than I hear about hired gunmen actively, waging war in the streets of the United States of America. So the fact that like random Jewish billionaires would hire, but here's where it gets interesting. So not only would you have to hire the hitman, but then you would have to convince a patsy to take the fall for it. And you would have to have messages of him talking about the murder weapon. And you would have to have the murder weapon found by police within 48 hours. And you would have to have the dad turn in his own son after the son allegedly confessed to the crime. And you would have to have Discord and text messages between the alleged confessed murderer and his roommate / girlfriend / friend. Like, dude, why would you even bother with another professional assassin? It seems like you got your assassin right there. That's where it makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever. Anonymous chatter for 10. I believe that's anonymous chatter, by the way. For real, though, the Kirk shooting has brought up a lot of interesting conspiracy theories. My non-schizo brother and dad are being sucked down some of the pipelines. Why, though? The conspiracy theories don't even make sense to me. Why would... So Israel... So Doobie is setting up the pretext through which Israel would benefit from Charlie's death. So Charlie, because of the dissident right-wing focus on criticizing Zionist conservatism, the Iran strike on the nuclear facility, and Israel's engagement in what do they call it? The West Bank and Gaza, that made him more skeptical and critical of Israel. And as a result, some billionaires pulled their funding for TPUSA. How does that lead to murder, right? And how does that lead to Erica Kirk and members of TPUSA being in on it?
Part of the conspiracies that are out there, this disturbing part that people are trying to guess where Charlie is.
Can I have one thing? Can I have one thing? Can my...
Bismuth, 69.55 for the 10, supporting the stream. Thanks for all you do, Connor. Thank you for the super chat, King. I appreciate it.
Children have one thing. Everything was public. We will be building the most beautiful memorial for my husband at Turning Point USA, and it will be for the world to see, and it will be spectacular, and it will have basically museum style for our Charlie, for my Charlie. But can I have one thing? Can my babies have one thing where we hold it sacred, where my husband is laid to rest, where I don't have to be worried about some secular revolutionary coming and destroying my husband's grave while my daughter is sitting there praying? One thing, this is my husband. Yes, he was Charlie Kirk to the world, and I know so many people love my husband, and I am grateful for that, but this is my husband, and I want to be able to have one thing left that is sacred to our family, to my in-laws, to my babies, and to my parents. One thing.
Okay, so on its face, I actually agree with that. I think that when people are being buried and where they're being buried and how their funerals are done, that is very private matter. Okay, so objectively, I agree with what she's saying. Okay, but subjectively, because we are dealing with the subject of Erica Kirk and what transpired immediately following Charlie's assassination, this is going to be read as Meghan Markle syndrome. Okay, Meghan Markle syndrome, where you want privacy when you want it.
Guys, you smashed the goal. I didn't know that in order to get super chats, all I needed to do was set a goal. Listen, I'm just going to be real here. I'm just going to share it, okay? You guys blow the financial support out of the water, okay? Financial support has been out of the water for so long that I knew that I had to have an off day eventually, and the off day was yesterday, okay? We maybe got like, I don't know, 3-4 super chats or whatever, and I was like, damn, you know, I got to be more entertaining. I got to be more funny. I got to shill more. I got to cover better content. I got to do something. My chat's letting me know I've fallen off. I did a 4-hour stream and I only got 4 or 5 super chats. I have fallen off as a content creator. But then all I did was I clicked a goal button and I set it for 5 super chats in an hour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. and you guys did 11 super chats in like 30 minutes. Okay. Well, QC John says viewer count was low yesterday, boss. I know, but sometimes I pick topics that aren't a hit. Like what was yesterday? Yesterday was a palate cleanser day. So we were because I could not do more Fuentes content yesterday. I could not do. I know Fuentes was like the hot thing to cover. I could not do more Fuentes content yesterday. And then I thought that the content yesterday was fine. It might have been lower viewership, but it was fine. It was still around 100 people. And then also we did do the one-on-one later. So I understand the correlation between lower viewership and less donations. But you guys popped off. Okay, you guys popped off. So anyways, I appreciate you guys popping off today. Thank you kindly. Anyways, I'll keep scrolling through chronological, but let me read Grassroots real quick and Anonymous Chatter again. Anonymous says, yes, it's anonymous and I have no idea. I try to walk them through the logistical analysis and they just don't buy it. It's very silly. Grassroots Hegemon for 20 says, Candace Owens is at the 6 on the attractive x-axis and 13 on psychotic. I am not kidding. I don't get why people watch here. See, actually, Grassroots, I'm going to disagree with you. I agree with you that for me, she's a 6. I don't find Candace particularly attractive. However, a lot of white guys I know find her incredibly attractive. So again, I'm with you that she's a 6 for me. I know dudes who basically like they go on long-winded rants about how they think like Candace Owens is just like the most beautiful black woman they've ever seen. So.
But you want publicity whenever you want it, and that just doesn't work, okay? It doesn't work that way. I honestly think it was said best by Bethany Frankel, not related to this situation. Bethany Frankel is on Real Housewives.
I'm gonna draw this real quick because Doobie's bringing up like some of the conspiracist rocket fuel, right? Some of the things that are making people be conspiracy network. Officer Nasty says, name one hotter black woman and I'll believe you. Okay. Challenge accepted. Independence Day, Vivica Fox. Boom. This girl was so fine in Independence Day. Oh my God. Then Gabrielle Union, what was it? Bad Boys 3? Gabrielle Union in Bad Boys 3 was insane. Whew. I might be being colorist right here, but I think she's like insanely attractive. Then what you said, Tyra Banks is obviously fine. Anyways, I don't want to make this like unfriendly to all of our family viewers. I don't believe you. I don't want to make this, too goony. Kelly Rowland, Swordfish, yeah, of course. What was the there's one other girl though, because I want to prove that I'm not purely colorist. It's a model, I forget her name, dark-skinned black supermodel, because it's not just about colorism. I think that girl's pretty. I think this girl is insanely pretty. Now, maybe I'm being racist in other ways, where even if they have incredibly dark skin, so I'm not being colorist, they might have like Eurocentric beauty standards. This girl's very pretty too. But yeah, some of these people are very pretty. So maybe I'm racist, like maybe I'm a little bit racist, but I'm not that racist, right? Grassroots 20 says the ultimate rightist incel is Laura Loomer on the Pier 20-somebody-year-old she molested. I cringe so hard I still walk with a limp. Whoa, what happened? What'd she do? The ultimate rightist incel is Laura Loomer on the Pier 20-something-year-old she molested. I cringe so hard I still walk with a limp. What did she do? She went to a party and she molested a 20-year-old? I don't know what you're talking about. That sounds scary. I'm scared of Laura Loomer. All right, anyways, we get it. There are very pretty black women. Matter of fact, I'm going to share you one more woman that I always thought that was super pretty. Mission Impossible 2 black girl? I forget her name. This woman, I understand that she's like a little light-skinned. I get that. But Naya Nordorf in Mission Impossible 2? Good God. Oh, sorry. I know one more that must be Googled. And I apologize to my wife. I apologize to my mother. I apologize to everyone of good moral character. But Naya Nordorf is obviously very pretty. She was also beautiful in Norbert. Have you guys seen Norbert? Naya Nordorf. Norbert is the movie where Eddie Murphy plays 7 different characters. Oh, did I? Is it not Norbert? What is it? What's the Eddie Murphy movie where he plays a bunch of characters? 2000s Beyonce is crazy. Eddie Murphy movie where he plays all the characters. Norbit. Is it Norbit? Norbit movie? Dude, this movie is crazy. It's Eddie Murphy playing a middle-aged black nerd who has an aggressive, overweight bully of a girlfriend. And then Naya Nordorf is his high school crush and comes back into town, and he's trying to date Naya Nordorf, but his bully, fat, aggressive girlfriend is constantly effing his S up. All right. And then, of course, last one, Idlewild movie cast. So Idlewild, this girl, I don't know what her name is. What's her name? I love Idlewild. Idlewild is an excellent. It's kind of corny, but it's effectively it's like a musical with Outkast. Paula Patton. This will be the last one, I promise. Paula Patton, I get it. She's light-skinned. She looks white-ish. She looks like a tan white person. Paula Patton, Idlewild, but she's mixed race. And yeah, her in Idlewild was insane. All right, anyways, moving on. All I was really, if you think Norbit is crazy, watch the trailer to Tiptoes 2002, Gary Oldman and Matthew McConaughey. I won't. But anyways, all I'm trying to prove to you is that if I'm racist, I'm a little bit racist. I'm not like crazy racist. I'm just a smidge racist. And if I'm colorist or Eurocentric, I understand I might be a little colorist or Eurocentric, and I'm trying to acknowledge that I might be colorist or Eurocentric, but I also wanted to show you that I am a man of taste. That's all I wanted to show you. Okay, I am a man of taste. I do not dismiss black women just because they are a different race than me. All right. Anyways, back to the content.
Wives, a real a show, a reality show, and she was referring to one of the housewives who lived her life very publicly, showcased her marriage.
Okay, and then just sharing it. You guys don't have to do anything. You already, because Christian Blairis oiled, because Grassroots Hegemon jumped in a couple of times, because Anonymous Chatter jumped in, because Bismuth, Sacred Snow, Fell Runner, Old School, aka Batusai, Starhawks, Vokes, Harmonic Fox, and Fell Runner, because you guys all jumped in, you all oiled. Okay, you did great, and thank you. You do not have to donate anything else, but it is appreciated, and I did reset the goal. So thank you. Let's keep going.
Just buying tons of Louis Vuitton bags, and they had tons of money. And then when their relationship soured, the housewife basically asked the public for privacy. And Bethany was like, no, this isn't how it works. Like, we were riding with you on the way up, or riding with you on the way out. You don't get to like pick and choose when you want privacy and when you don't want privacy. And subjectively, as it, in the matter of Erica Kirk, This is the same person who had somebody record her over Charlie Kirk's casket. That was not our business, truly. And I can say that decision was made by her. And there is, some credence to the claim that everybody grieves differently. I wouldn't even record myself over a casket ever, okay? Some people maybe perhaps want to have that memory. But the decision to publish that, you crying over your husband's casket, and to
Randy Chang says, I have coworkers screen peeking. Everyone wants to know what's so funny. Listen, my desire is to get you guys in trouble at work, but not fired, right? Where they hear me say something crazy, they see me reviewing something crazy, and they're like, what are you listening to? And then you kind of explain it, and they think you're schizophrenic. But I don't want to make content that is so crazy that it gets you fired. I want you to be... I want you to have to excuse the content.
Publish his dead body on Instagram was a decision that was made by Erica, and we can watch that. Take a look.
Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. I know. I love you. I love you so much. I love you. I love you. God bless you.
That is an incredibly personal and an incredibly intimate moment that you invited the public into. Okay, there was no reason to do that outside of wanting to share something that was very private with the public. And now you fast forward 3 months removed, and it's why does the public want to know where he's buried? It doesn't work like that. You have to make a decision. I want this always to be private, or I want this always to be public. That's my personal feedback there. Later on in this same...
I think that's okay feedback. But as Wokey John says, Connor, after introducing my wife to you, she wanted me to remind you that the definition of mass is big. Based. But listen, here's the thing. I share too much on the internet because I think it's fun. Okay. I like including you guys to, I don't want you guys to necessarily know my kids' names. I don't want you to know where they go to school. I don't want you to know this, that, the other, but I do want you to know that I have kids. I love them. And we are we're having a good time. Not all the time. Sometimes things are rough. Sometimes things are tough. Sometimes I'm not a good dad. Sometimes I'm not a good husband. But I try to share my personal life with you. That way you can see that there's like an adult who's having kids, who's trying to make it work, who's trying to become sane, who's trying to take care of his kids, trying to take care of his wife. Jasper. Jasper's a great name, right? And so the point is that, like, I share with you guys because I'm hoping that it encourages you guys to go after things that you want. I hope it encourages you to go after a wife. I hope it encourages you to go after kids. I hope it encourages you to be a better father and a better husband, or a better wife, or a better whatever. But if all of a sudden people are like, oh, well, you told us that your kids are this age, therefore I'm entitled to know everything about them, I'd be like, no, fuck off. Here's my lines. And here's, I don't think I'm way behind on chats. I have the behind chats over here. I have live chat over here. Yeah, exactly. Who knew the line between promoting pro-social behavior and self-doxing was so thin? Doobie, I can see you now. He said, oh, Connor is way behind on chats as usual. Yes, Doobie. The whole point of everybody donating was, I have a monitor right here that is live. I can see you. I have a thing that is old and chronological that I am going to scroll through while talking to you guys, and I'm going to respond to old chats. But if you say something crazy over here, I'm going to respond to that too, if I see it. Yes, I'm like a Zinchian god. One eye on the past, one eye in the present. Yes, that's what's happening. So anyways. Yes. Beef Supreme. Lol, he literally read my real-time chat response to kids. Yes. Newman says how much we got to donate to get him to sit in a private Discord chat so Doobie can pop in. The esports Batman message was on the YouTube screen for some reason. No, it still is, because I'm moving through it chronologically, because you guys said that I got esports Batman wrong, and I want to scroll through in order to see if there's like an explanation for who Esports Batman is since I allegedly got it wrong. So, anyways, you guys are funny. The point is that I don't like that private public thing being like, yes, because you let us into your moment of grief in reference to Charlie's body, we now are entitled to all of the details surrounding Charlie's death and internment. I think that's weird. It can be logical that they already let us in for an incredibly intimate moment, but I think we all understand that it's an incredibly intimate moment, that they are a hybrid, that Erica Kirk is a hybrid between a public and a private person. She's largely a public person, but there are also things that are so intimate for public people that some things are understandably desiring to be private. And also, here's the other thing too. Yeah. Beef Supreme says, streamer telling his viewers he sees them. That's scary. Connor is outside your house right now. This is pre-recorded. Not just that. Who was it? It was either Patriarch or Son Patriarch or somebody like that. And it was Grassroots. They kept saying that they were in my walls. But now I'm in your walls. So anyways, the point is that with the private thing, doesn't it stand to reason? Okay, I need to stop looking at chat because I keep addressing you guys too much now. Doesn't it stand to reason that if somebody was angry enough in order to kill Charlie Kirk, and if half of the country was calling Charlie a Nazi propagandist, that if you interred him at a certain location and you made that location public, then that would result in people going there to desecrate the grave. And that's where, sure, maybe details of the autopsy should be available. Not the pictures themselves, but the autopsy report. Maybe some details about like, yeah, we cremated him versus we buried him. Maybe those things could be public and that's not going to hurt anything, right? However, the specific location is where and the timeline in which he's buried, for me, that invites harassment. And I think we could all understand that. Everybody's like Connoring me, so now I have to address everything. Doobie says, is weird, but it could just be that she felt like it was important for people to see him in the casket for closure and to let them know that how loved he was or some stuff. Charlie Kirk was a massive public figure. I agree, Doobie. Also, listen, when you're grieving, when people are dead, I'll try to be brief about this. People are not in their right minds. I've been to houses where people had like heart attacks or overdoses or deaths. And what happens is it's very weird. The people are traumatized. They're sad. They've seen their family member who is gone. They will never have a conversation with that person ever again. And there's a surreality. There's a surrealness to the moment in which they do not feel like it's real because they cannot believe they will never have a conversation again with somebody that they love, and that their loved person is gone and they do not know where that person is. Maybe they're in heaven, maybe they're in hell, maybe they're in purgatory, maybe they're in oblivion. Nobody really knows what happens to the soul when you die. At least they're suspending belief in a particular system because they actually see the corpse. And so your certainty kind of shrinks away because you don't know what happens on the other side, right? And so they're dealing with that. And then they also have to go about their day. They still need to make their kids food. They still need to get ready for work. If they're going to work, they need to call out of work if they're calling out of work. And so what happens is they have these moments where they're dragged back into normalness and they start acting normal again for a little bit. And then they get flashbanged that a corpse of somebody they love is in the other room. And then they return to a state of mourning. And so for me, with Erica Kirk, kind of acting weird and kind of not really knowing what she wants to do with the public-private relationship of the death of Charlie Kirk, that seems perfectly normal to me. But people are not rational when they're dealing with death. Sin Patriarch says, Connor, can you grab the wall anchors while you're back there? I'm really bad at home improvement. Absolutely. Well, QC John says, Connor, joke's on you. I live in the woods, so I probably might have mold in my walls. Fair warning. You know what? Fair enough.
Same interview, she launches into a strong defense of Turning Point USA employees who have, just as a matter of fact, told many lies, many inconsistencies. These are verifiable. So they are currently lying to the public, or they have lied to the public, but she is going to deliver quite an impassioned defense regarding these particular individuals and the organization as a whole. And I want you to hear her passion. Take a listen.
What are they taking from you right now?
Nothing. But I will tell you what they are doing. It reminds me so much of chapter 6 in the book of Nehemiah. He is building a wall, and the townspeople are at the base of that hill saying, Nehemiah, calling him all these names, saying all these things, come on down. Every single time he had the same message 4 times in a row. I cannot come down. I am busy building. That is how I feel. I do not have time to address the noise. My silence does not mean that I am complacent. My silence does not mean that somehow Turning Point USA and all of the handpicked staff that loved my husband and my husband loved them is somehow in on it. We are busy building. And you know what I thought? I thought these people are human. We are all grieving in our own way. And they are trying to find the answer to something that happened that was so evil. They are trying so hard. And I get that. We're doing the same. Anytime we hear a lead or anytime we hear anything, we send it to the authorities. Please dig into this. No rock will be unturned. I want justice for my husband, for myself, for my family, more than anyone else out there. So for me, you want to keep telling me to come down while we're building? I don't have time for that. But here's my breaking point on that. Come after me, call me names, I don't care. Call me what you want. Go down that rabbit hole, whatever. But when you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this, no.
I'm good with that. I think that's, considering her position in society, I am perfectly okay with that, because this is something that I experienced. This is something that I experienced with PV. Okay. And with PV, what we talked about, because a lot of people really did not like Progressive Victory, for those of you who are unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, and I'll tell you shortly. Progressive Victory was a organization that was trying to hybridize the digital media online political sphere with real world politics. What they did, which I thought was inefficient, but I still liked the idea. What they were trying to do was they hired creators, including myself. They paid us a few $100. Some people got a few $1,000. You know, I did not negotiate for a good salary. I was given a good amount of money. I'll tell you, my initial negotiation, they're like, hey, show up to this meeting once a week, tell us your worldview, all that kind of stuff. My offer was $500 a month. That was mine. And I was like, I don't even need that. I would do this for free. And they asked me what I thought was fair. And I said $500 a month. And truth be told, $500 a month was more than fair. But it ended up being more than that through their generosity. So what ended up happening with that, though, is they got creators together. Once a week we met for probably about an hour. Sometimes the meetings ran late and later. And what we talked about is what's going on with the Never Trump movement, what's hot on social media today, what is the best content for coverage, how can we boost each other as creators with a Never Trump message, what are the Democrats doing that's working, what are the Democrats doing that's not working, that way we could feed that back to the people who are running against Trump. What are the Never Trumpers doing? It wasn't a huge topic of conversation, but we obviously talked about Bulwark and the Lincoln Project and all those kinds of guys. And so Patriarch says, I can tell you how to get 7K easy. Sure, Mossad, my DMs are open, okay? But the whole point was that we were trying to, at least within our corner of the internet and our corner of what we were capable of doing, is we were trying to say, hey, we think Donald Trump is a threat to the United States. He's going to be bad for the country. He's going to fuck everything up. He's going to be awful. And so as a result, how can we become more prominent creators? How can we get this message out? How can we fight for an electoral solution? And not just that, how can we get members of online politics to volunteer for canvassing events in Cincinnati, Milwaukee, and how can we get them involved in how can we get them involved in volunteer operations like the canvassing houses? And so what was happening was everybody was attacking the fuck out of us. And they're like, oh, you know, the DNC's bought you. You're reading a script. You're a Democrat shill. You're talking shit. And that didn't even line up with reality, because realistically, like, I don't know if you guys remember this, there was a debate when Joe Biden had the disastrous debate, and PV was split. Half of PV wanted Biden to keep going because they were like, oh, he can recover from the debate. And, you know, he's got name recognition, and he's got name recognition from Obama. He did so well on Super Tuesday. He shouldn't drop out. And then half of PV was like, fuck that. The only thing that's going to happen if Biden keeps running is people are just going to be playing clips of him floundering in the debate, and he's going to get stomped in the general. You need to swap them out. And so there were real contentious debates like that all the time in the organization. So Erica Kirk, sorry, just to bring this back. So I felt like when people in Twitch and YouTube politics, and when drama creators and all that kind of stuff were attacking PV, number one, they didn't understand the organization. Number two, they didn't believe the goals of the organization. Number three, they were busy trying to tear it down while it itself was trying to build something. And so I sympathize with Erica Kirk saying like, hey, we're still reaching out to colleges. We're still doing college events. We're still organizing chapter events. We're still running the Charlie Kirk show. We're still doing this. We're still doing that. We're too busy, building in order to deal with the drama mongers who are capitalizing on my husband's death. Fuck these people. I sympathize with her. Good for her, and good for her for saying it.
I'm sorry.
Then, sorry, Doobie's assertion, he's trying to correct me. He's trying to say that Esports Batman himself is not a handle and known Kiwi farmer. He is somebody who interpreted the publicly available documentation about Destiny's court case and translates them for JStock. And that's why he's ended up in Destiny's crosshairs. Doobie wants us to be aware of that.
Okay, but that whole thing right there is frustrating. And I'm going to explain to you why I just do not accept any of that. First and foremost, the idea that she does not have time. Okay, she definitely has time, okay? She's done Hannity, she's done The Five, she's done Fox and Friends, she's done Outnumbered, she's done Megyn Kelly Live, she sat down with the New York Times. She made time, by the way, in case you don't remember, to fly to DC for Sergio Gore to be sworn into the ambassador to India, as the ambassador to India, which feels kind of obscure and not necessarily related to Turning Point USA affairs, building affairs, or whatever it is. But sure, that's fine. I mean, obviously, you're also allowed to be a person if that's the homie and that's what you want to do. Sure. But we are indeed speaking about a coast-to-coast flight to stand up next to somebody and basically say, Charlie loved you. That was like the whatever 15-second speech that she gave, right? Here's actually, we have a clip of that speech that she gave.
Well, he was also very good friends with a guy named Charlie. We just knew him as Charlie, and his wife, who we love so much, is here with us. And maybe you know how close they were together. Maybe Erica, you could say a couple of words, please.
I'm honored to, sir. Charlie loved you. It's hard not to get emotional because I know that he would have been the first phone call when he found out that you were going to be taking this position. And the way that I was able to witness the two of you work together for years and to champion and support the president was absolutely humbling to witness. And I am so proud of you. And Charlie is going to be with you every single day in spirit. And I will be praying for you every day because I know that this is just the beginning of an incredible opportunity for you. And sir, thank you for allowing Sergio to have this beautiful moment.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jonathan.
That's just an ambassador to India swearing in ceremony. Again, if that's your friend, you want to be there, that makes sense. She's also a person, and she can decide what she wants to do there. But the point that I'm making is that's a coastal flight that she made to be there to watch a paper get signed. She has also made time for an upcoming CBS News town hall sit down.
Okay. Dude, and this is where I think Candace is a B word. I'm actually going to cover this for a little bit because I think this is just demonstrating how Candace is a B word. So what she's accusing Erica Kirk and TPUSA of, in clips that I've seen that have been posted within the past 48 hours, is she's accusing TPUSA employees of being in on the assassination, of being people who helped facilitate the assassination in league with like special forces assassins hired by multinational intelligence agencies. Not a lick of fucking evidence in reference to any of that shit, except for some random guy with an email saying that he was at a hotel in Asia where he was like, he met a bunch of military guys who were talking about potentially doing a big assassination. That's like her evidence for the military was involved in this. And again, it's like, I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions. Okay, that mean what? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to map this out because it's actually pretty straightforward.
Down with Barry Weiss, which was filmed today. So Erica Kirk has time. She has time. It is just what she means to say, not her priority, which is you are allowed to prioritize things in your own life. But this is not a matter of time constraint. It is not her priority to respond to the majority, actually. The majority of people think of this as BS. The majority of people think Turning Point is acting suspicious. And she does not feel that it is what she wants to do as a matter of priority, responding. Okay, that's fine. Now, to that point that people are making hundreds and thousands of dollars, I just don't get how there's not someone on this very large PR team as we're seeing.
Sagers Cotter, have you considered that maybe she is Boromir, son of the steward, and that Erica Kirk is Frodo, a soy jack? I have considered that, actually. And then not just that, I think this is a cringe counterpoint where she's going to say, oh, we don't care about the money. We don't care about the money. Yeah, we know you don't care about the money, Candace, because you married a billionaire. Like, I think that she married a Nepo trust fund baby with billions of dollars, and she's already independently successful by being a multimillionaire. She's not doing it for the money. I think she's doing it because she's genuinely a schizophrenic. Now, that being said, I think that there is intense profiteering from this. 2 million live views on a 5 million sub channel. Yes, engaging in Charlie Kirk conspiracism is incredibly lucrative.
These PR campaigns go out, but doesn't go, hey, maybe we should strike that. They made $40 million like 2 nights ago at Mar-a-Lago. Maybe that feels kind of a little bit like let them eat cake-ish. Oh, and we've made more than separately from Mar-a-Lago. Turning Point USA, since Charlie was killed, just so you guys know, this is a fact, has made more than $100 million. That is separate from the $40 million they made at Mar-a-Lago the other night. So since Charlie has died, that organization has taken in $140 million. But gosh darn you people that are making hundreds of dollars every day on YouTube talking about Charlie Kirk's assassination and the BS narrative that is being fed and the very obvious psychological operation that is being employed to make you accept the BS that they are trying to sell to us. Gosh.
Okay. Can we get into the details of how it's a bullshit psychological operation? Because I'm about to write out the narrative of what it is. I'm going to let her discuss. Erica discusses the conspiracy theorists or whatever. Tucker Carlson discusses it. I'm not going to get that far. I don't care about that. Erica sits down for an interview update on Fort Huachu, which I don't know what it is. We're only going to watch this segment, and we're probably not going to watch all of it. I'm just going to watch it in the background while I'm drawing stuff. Quick show, like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. I did set a new goal, which was 10 super chats over an hour instead of 5. You guys blew past the first goal. I want to thank Fellrunner, Harmonic Fox, Anonymous Chatter, Vokes, Anonymous Chatter again, Starhawks, aka Batusai, Christian Blairs with the absolutely insane $100 super chat, Old School for 5, Fellrunner for 5, Sacred Snow, Anonymous Chatter for 10, Bismuth for 10, Games are for Kids for 5, Grassroots Touchabon for 20, Grassroots Touchabon for 20. This would be a good day for me. I'm already happy. Thank you kindly for your financial support. If you do have money burning a hole in your pocket, it's appreciated. It's never required. Basically, Christian Blair has paid for all of you. All right, let's go.
Darn you. Did you make $1,000 today? Speaking about Charlie Kirk, Well, you should be ashamed of yourself, says Turning Point USA, who in large part made that money because of those very people who gave to the organization immediately following Charlie Kirk's assassination. And the thing that is especially absurd about that is trying to like, almost like, I want to be clear that Turning Point USA is my family. The Charlie Kirk show is my family. You know, like she's just expanding the wings of people that we're not allowed to critique because they're in the family. If you call them fam, you can't critique them, right? Oh, I'm sorry. We actually are showing a clip of Rob McCoy defending a pedophile or trying to like launder the reputation of that's fam. That's the CK show fam. Oh, I'm sorry. We are actually pointing to the fact that we know for certain that this person or organization is sexual deviant. That's fam. That is my, don't you get me upset. I know that this is a now $150 million in the last 3-month organization and we employ tons of people, but you can't critique. You can't critique the fam. And I hate to say this, but I'm going to be very clear here. This is why there are many people who do not believe that women are equipped to lead companies, because what you are watching here is an unbelievably emotional response that is absent of any logic, okay? If you really care about your team, answer the questions, okay? Just demystify the entire event. Answer, come out, sit down, answer the questions so people don't think Turning Point USA looks so suspicious. Don't try to like mom the
what are the real questions? Sorry, Doobie, you seem to be agreeing with Candace Owens. What are the real questions that you're most concerned about? Okay, because I'm writing out the official narrative, and the official narrative makes sense to me. But maybe you have some interesting question that is pertinent that we should be asking.
Organization and say, well, mother's upset because people are coming after her kids and all of this subsidy.
Because you're accusing them of murder, you arsler.
Multi-million-dollar subsidiaries. That's my children. Okay. The multi-million-dollar subsidiaries, Turning Point, like Turning Point Action, all that, those are my kids. So you can't critique them. Not a good idea. Okay. It may work in PR world. You guys.
Okay. Doobie, you're killing me. You won't know her questions unless you watch the videos where she goes over it with her. I don't think you can retire, Doobie. I think your IQ is dropping precipitously, and I consider you a smart guy. Dismissing what she's saying without looking at any of the background is silly. Okay, let me articulate this for you. What's going on is that Candace, this is the narrativization that I've gotten from social media about Candace's perspective, okay, is that the Charlie Kirk was beefing with the billionaires or whatever, that they had partially withdrawn support because Charlie Kirk was becoming questioning of the Zionist narrative, that he was shot and killed, that immediately afterwards, Bibi Netanyahu and a bunch of Ziocons tried to reinforce the fact that Charlie Kirk was a Ziocon. Then immediately afterwards, Erica Kirk was left the organization along with a bunch of, TPUSA employees or whatever, that because of Charlie Kirk's assassination, they received a shitload of international donations, particularly from Ziocons. So they're going to shift to a Ziocon narrative. And then not only that, Erica Kirk, despite losing her husband, has profited immensely from a clout perspective and from a financial perspective as a result of her death. Okay. Doobie says, why would you regurgitate the narrative you got from social media about her perspective when you can just watch her lay it out with her evidence? You're dismissing her claims. Yes, because she's coming up with random nonsense. Yes, Doobie, because the clips that I've seen on Twitter that are 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and all that kind of stuff is Candace Owens believing that, number one, that the French government, including Brigitte Macron and Emmanuel Macron, have hired Gigan, the French Foreign Legion, French Special Forces, and assassins to go kill Candace Owens. And somebody summarized it the other day where they said her potential assassin has moved over to her side of the country, and that Ukrainian refugees are supporting him in gathering the intel necessary to kill Candace Owens. then in reference to, in reference to the Charlie Kirk assassination, there was a disproportionate amount of Israeli cell phones in the area. Apparently there's something about Egyptian airplanes. Yeah, the French shit has not, yeah, I'm not saying it has anything to do with Charlie Kirk. I'm saying she's a fucking schizophrenic, doobie. I'm saying she's fucking crazy. Okay. Then, what is it? Israel and Egypt and the United States military engaged in a multilateral intelligence and special forces mission in which Charlie Kirk was no longer a Zionist conservative. And as a controller of the world's most powerful youth conservative advocacy organization, she got an email that there were American special forces in Thailand that were hanging out at a hotel where this random emailer got wind of a planned political assassination within the United States that was going to be carried out by American special forces. So, sorry, do you have an alternative narrative? No, I think she's wrong. I just think Connor is being a dumbass because he's dismissing even her reasonable criticisms as schizo nonsense because he's too lazy to go over the videos where she actually lays out her claims. I just relayed to you the claims that have been relayed to me. Do you have stronger claims? I'm happy to hear the stronger claims. I'm begging you to give me the stronger claims. Give me the steel man, right? Please. Give me the steel. What's the steel man? Okay, so let's do this because Doobie is challenging us to watch out the original. Okay, not the clips where she insinuates that Charlie Kirk was murdered by a cabal of. Is this it?
And he takes out this pen and he just.
Nah, that's going to be like a morning video. Videos. Should Candace Owens with Norm Finkelstein, Candace Owens with Milo Yiannopoulos, Emmanuel Macron had a sugar daddy, Kanye drops a Harvey Weinstein picture. Okay, so let's go to the lives. We got, I think they're talking about me, Charlie Kirk's last trip to Asia, which I seriously think this is the 35-minute video about special forces people being on the verge of killing him. Erica Kirk, who called me TPUSA to invite me, who stood to benefit from Charlie Kirk's assassination. I have to assume shocking revelation about the Egyptian planes. Doobie, do you want to do shocking revelations about Egyptian planes, or do you want to do who stood to benefit from Charlie Kirk's assassination? Which one do you want to do? Which hour of schizophrenia do you want to engage in? I'm not going to regurgitate hours of Candace ranting without evidence, so why should I take her seriously? And which one? Which one should I? She ended at they killed him, lying about CK, about her relationships with him, etc. Sorry, hold on. It was a spiral, if I recall. It started with their line about what Charlie Kirk believed. I don't even know if that's true. And then went to their line about this meeting with Charlie Kirk. And then over time, as she dug further into it and people kept lying about Charlie Kirk, about her relationship with him, etc., she ended as they killed him. Okay. I said not without evidence. I said with evidence. So which evidence do you want me to want? All right. Turning Point has been keeping a big secret. Did Charlie know about it? Charlie Kirk and Brigitte's Legionnaires. This is the exact conversation that I was talking about, where she thinks the French Foreign Legion is being hired to assassinate her. Okay, we'll do this. We'll do the shocking revelations about the Egyptian planes. Let's do that.
All right, you guys, happy Thursday. Fun little update for you. When the clock struck midnight last night, in the meantime, we are just going to start investigating harder because you're not acting right, okay? You guys are not acting right, and you are not going to be able to get yourselves out of it by trying to be tricky like that. And like I said, the fact that you mentioned the Egyptian planes so many times yesterday without providing a valid answer or reason as to why we should just ignore military planes that are circulating that don't belong to our country, we're going to stay focused on that. And guess what? We have some more explosive revelations, which lead to more questions, which should be answered. And by the way, Turning Point, you should be concerned about. How odd, guys, that they're not concerned about the Egyptian planes. They don't even know how to feign concern. They don't even know how to sell to us in their best acting that they care about what transpired on that day. If you wanted to act like you cared, you would go, yeah, no, that is actually weird. I wonder what those planes are about. Instead, they're like, ha, ha, ha. Egyptian planes, what we've had to endure this crazy talk about these Egyptian planes. You should be concerned. And I'm going to give more cause for concern, okay? Because as you guys will recall, 2 Egyptian planes, got it. For the sake of ease, we've labeled one blue, that's SUBND, which was the one that was transponding on the ground at Duncan Aviation on the day of Charlie's assassination, but it did not.
Okay, I'm gonna fast forward. What the fuck are we talking about here?
Not go anywhere. And then, of course, our now infamous yellow plane that carried on to Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware that morning, and has seemingly panicked the world, right? I'm reminding you that that flight from Provo to Delaware on the yellow plane had only 4 people on board. Okay, so that plane pretty much emptied out and then had only 4 people, one of which was a foreign dignitary. Now, one of those individuals I can confirm was using the name. And when I say using the name, we are dealing with governments, we are dealing with power, and these people just print passports, okay? These are obviously dead ends. But the name that one of those individuals was using is Walid Mahmoud, okay? Walid Mahmoud. So we now know that of the 4 people that flew to Delaware, someone flew using the name Walid Mahmoud, okay? Here is where it's going to get interesting. And I don't know if we can show that name, Chris, if we have that, but we can spell that out for them. I don't know if we have a graphic for that, but here's where it gets interesting, okay? Walid Mahmoud had been in Provo before, okay? Specifically, Walid Mahmoud came to Provo on May 27th of this year. Walid Mahmoud came in, and we can also confirm that if you look up the plane that he was on, there is no transponder data which reflects that trip. He was not on the yellow plane. This is what's very interesting. He was aboard another Egyptian military plane, and the tail number for that plane is SUBTU. We're going to make that the purple plane, okay? Purple plane was not there on the day of Charlie's assassination, but we now have a person that was on that purple plane at the end of May, and then he is going to be on that plane again on the day of Charlie's assassination, both times in Provo. And we can drop that now into our timeline, okay? May 27th, SUBTU flies into Provo with Walid Mahmoud aboard. Maybe it's a pilot, I don't know. Then we've got, it departs on June 2nd, and it is not transponding, okay? So you cannot find a record of this on flight radar. Now, why is this compelling? Why is this especially compelling? Because the purple plane, SUBTU, as has been recently discovered by the work of other people, was once upon a time flown with the president of Egypt aboard. And by once upon a time, I mean back in 2023. This tweet came from Project Constitution. I'm going to read it in its entirety, okay? Confirmed. Candace Owens just got vindicated again.
Project Constitution is also a schizophrenic Twitter user, but okay. There was I want you to track the facts so far, okay? There was alleged Egyptian military using pseudonyms flying around in the United States at the same time Charlie Kirk got shot. Okay. Egypt, or at least parts of Egypt, are an ally to the United States, and they could be doing spooky special forces bullshit. What does this have to do with Charlie Kirk getting shot in the fucking side of the neck?
Egyptian government website confirms that Egyptian President El-Sisi flew on SUBTU. Remember when Candace Owens dropped that bombshell exposing that Egyptian presidential plane as the mystery bird tied to those shadowy flights? And just, you know, he's confusing BTT. He's talking about BTU. We were always talking about BTT. Well, official receipts just landed straight from the Egyptian presidency website that on April 3rd, 2023, President El-Sisi touched down in Riyadh aboard that same exact aircraft, tail number SUBTU, for a high-level sit-down with the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, okay? So BTU. And again, he's mixing it up with BTT, but we can now connect these two planes. Now, before you jump to conclusions and go, well, does this solve this? Does this mean that this was the Egyptian president on board? No, we can actually officially rule out that it was President El-Sisi that was aboard the jet on September 10th because he was photographed at a meeting with the Prime Minister of Tunisia, Sarah Zafrani, and it was in Egypt. We can also rule him out as having been the individual that was in Provo back in May because he was, again, photographed multiple times throughout that week in Egypt, okay? What we can, however, deduce is that Walid Mahmoud is therefore not the president of Egypt, but he is almost certainly well acquainted with the president of Egypt because planes that fly presidents around, military planes, you're not going to just, let just some random wealthy Egyptian aboard your jet, right? This person is going to be well acquainted with the president of Egypt, okay? So who is Walid Mahmoud? Who is the person using the name Walid Mahmoud? That is the question that we are left with. Now, again, maybe Walid is the pilot. That could make sense. But what was he or she doing in Provo at the end of May and into early June? These are questions and honestly concerns that shouldn't be expressed by me. It should be expressed by every single person at Turning Point USA who is interested in getting to the bottom of who assassinated Charlie Kirk. It should be expressed by our government. It should be expressed by the Pentagon and their giggly press secretary and press members. We should be asking this question. Instead, we're just being gaslit. Everything was so above board on the day of Charlie's assassination that they just can't answer anything. They just cannot answer a single question. That
What does this have to do with anything? What does this have to do with anything? What does this have to do with anything? I'm going to explain this, and maybe Doobie, maybe you can enlighten me a little bit, okay? Because this is the official narrative. Charlie Kirk is a conservative who makes anti-trans arguments. A random lefty schizo decides that he's a bad guy who needs to be killed. He's a fascist. And then, as a result, the random lefty schizo gets a rifle that he steals from his grandfather, goes to the second story of the building. I've seen the stairs. It's easy to get to. Goes to the second story, shoots Charlie Kirk in the neck, and he dies. And then people are sympathetic to TPUSA and Charlie Kirk's legacy, so they want to support it. So they dump money into TPUSA because it does do an important mission for conservatives, which is community outreach and college outreach. And the college is disproportionately, okay, his dad stole it from him. Oh, wow, that changes everything, Fatsimo. Oh, grandpa gave it to dad and then dad gave it to the kid. Oh, wow, that changes everything that I said. Sorry, use your brain for 3 seconds, okay? So Erica Kirk and TPUSA receive an incredible amount of funding from conservatives who are sympathetic to Charlie for his assassination, and that schizos are currently schizoing for money. That is the official narrative. That makes sense to me. It seems probable to me based off of photos, based off of video, based off of caliber, based off of text messages, based off of Discord, okay? All of that makes sense, okay? Now, this is the narrative that I think people are insinuating, but won't stand on their own 2 feet in order to do it, which is Charlie Kirk started criticizing Zionism in Israel in reference to the West Bank, Gaza, and maybe the Zionist project, okay? Donors feel betrayed because Ziocons were a large part of TPUSA's base. They don't like his criticisms of Israel, and so they meet with Charlie and then they pull funding. Charlie complains about it to his coworkers. Charlie is killed, presumably because he turned into an anti-Ziocon, okay? Erica and TPUSA step into the power gap left by Charlie's death, and Zionists dump endless amounts of cash into TPUSA, effectively re-cementing it as a Zionist organization, okay? Zionists and globalists benefit from Charlie's death, And it seems like Erica Kirk is going along with the Zionist conservative narrative that Charlie was always a stalwart supporter of Israel. He never had any doubts. He never had any criticisms. He never did this. He never did that. And so what further supports this is American special forces in Asia, according to an anonymous email, definitely not a random schizophrenic who's just sending random shit in, said that American special forces were aware of a political assassination that was going to happen in the United States in the foreseeable future, and that an Egyptian airplane was in the sky at the time using pseudonyms in the area, and therefore they must have been involved as well. So, and then not just that, we'll ignore the fact that Candace Owens is schizo posting about somebody trying to kill her as well. What's the connection again? Why is this more compelling than the official narrative? What is the evidence even for this narrative besides a random email? What the fuck is happening? Okay, then hold on. Let me just go ahead and write this down. There was an American Special Forces team that heard about a political assassination in the next couple of days. Definitely not a random internet schizophrenic sending that into her email. And then also a Egyptian airplane using pseudonyms was flying at the same time, or what was around during assassination. What does the Egyptian, even if let's go ahead and grant a whole bunch of facts. Let's assume that these are facts. Egyptian politicians and military figures. Egypt is, relatively speaking, an ally. Egyptian military figures and Egyptian intelligence and Egyptian politicians might travel in the United States using pseudonyms, using Egyptian government and military aircraft. What does one have to do with the other? Why do the Egyptians flying with random manifests and no transponders and pseudonyms, why does that have to do with Charlie Kirk's assassination at all? What the fuck are we talking about? So I'll give it another minute, but this is crazy pants. Grassroots says shill and goal money smiley face. Thank you, King. I could not do this stream without you. Although we only got a minute and 20 seconds left on the goal, unfortunately. But that's okay. You guys smashed the original goal, so I'm a happy camper. So Doobie, donate 8 super chats in the next 60 seconds. I'm kidding. You don't have to do anything. All right. Quick shout out to our supporters so far. Grassroots with the 50, Grassroots with the 20, Grassroots with the 20, effectively $100 in super chats. Anonymous Chatter with the 5, Bismuth with the 10, Anonymous Chatter with the 10, Sacred Snow with the 5, Fell Runner with the 5, Old School with the 5, Christian Blairus with the 100, aka Batusai with the 2, Starhawks with the 2, Anonymous Chatter with the 5, Vokes with the 5, Gifted, Anonymous Chatter with the 10, Harmonics with the 2, Harmonics with the membership, and Fell Runner with the 5. Thank you guys for your insane financial support. Thank you kindly to Deus Halcyon for the membership. I really do appreciate it. We failed on our second goal, guys. We failed on our second goal. Okay. Oh, but Eli got the membership. Nice. So, yeah. So we failed on the second goal. We only got 3 donations over the course of an hour. It's okay. I didn't shill it that hard. But you guys smashed the first goal where I asked for 5 super chats over an hour, and I think you guys did 11. So I'm not going to complain, and I'm not going to set any other goals. You guys did great. Thank you kindly. When I have 1,000 live viewers, that's when I'll set goals hourly. So, all right. Anyways. Let's do 10 super chats I'll set that for like longer. What time is it? It's 1:05. I'll set it for, yeah, sure, an hour, because we only got an hour left, or we got 90 minutes left. All right, so we set a new goal. Thank you guys for being here. Like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat. Super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. I parasocially love you. You guys have already been super generous today. I don't need any other generosity, but if you got money burning a hole in your pocket, I parasocially love you and appreciate it. So anyways, Doobie, I'm kind of asking you, because you're the one that's saying that I need to steelman Candace here. What does a random email saying Americans were talking about an assassination, a political assassination in America, which could be a total schizophrenic, just sending random email bullshit to Candace Owens. And what does an Egyptian airline using pseudonyms being in Utah at the time of the assassination, what does this have to do with what's going on? Patriarchs has stopped getting doobied. But dude, he's the only person who's like questioning the official narrative. I'm just going to move on. For me, that was bullshit. That was bullshit. That had nothing to do with anything. We spent 10 minutes listening to her talking about Egyptian airplanes. What the fuck did that have to do anything? And then who stood to benefit from Charlie Kirk's assassination? Let's just be real. It's TPUSA. It's Erica Kirk. It's the Zionists. Okay? That's who benefits from Charlie Kirk's murder. Okay? So, but what's the evidence that they're involved? Okay. All right. Anyways, let's go to Tim Pool freaking out, and let's summarize the content real quick. Candace Owens is a B word. Candace Owens is a conspiracy theorist. Candace Owens insinuated. Yes, she insinuated that back when she was creating Social Autopsy, lefties contacted her and said that if she created a doxing website, then that would actually ruin everything, implying that it would, sorry, I'll save this doobie chat so I can get doobied one more time. Implying that lefties were astroturfing right-wing harassment online and therefore didn't want to be discovered. So she was engaging in conspiracism 8 years ago, without evidence, by the way. Then she's a B word. She's incredibly rude and mean. Instead of having a earnest and good faith conversation with Blair White and saying, hey, I think you're a male. Realistically, I think you're a confused man who's engaging in, trans surgery that's not good for you in the long term. But I do want to talk about trans identity, and I do want to talk about social autopsy, and I do want to talk about our differences in our political advocacy. That's what you could do. And then you could say, for the sake of this conversation, I'm just going to try to not use pronouns. I'm just going to use your name. And then boom, you've made it clear that you don't believe that Blair White is a woman in a classical sense, but you also are engaging with the more in-depth conversation instead of just being a B word and just calling Blair White a man to her face 10,000 times. So we've established that she's a B word and a conspiracist. She's astroturfed by TPUSA. She's astroturfed by Daily Wire. She is getting way too big for her britches. And in my opinion, she was used as a token. Now we're engaging in conspiracism around the Charlie Kirk assassination. But in my opinion, she has a fistful of nothing. I'll read Doobie's chat to see if she has anything in a second. The closest thing to something substantive that I think Doobie has said is that she's traumatized by the murder of her friend. She's angry that people are saying they were never friends. And she's angry that his legacy is being co-opted by Zionists in order to cover up the fact that towards the end of Charlie Kirk's life, he was questioning the state of Israel, which has nothing to do with getting shot with a bolt-action rifle in front of a crowd of a few hundred people. So that's all I have so far. Doobie says, you jumped into a spiral midpoint and you're wondering why you don't understand how anything is connected to anything else. I don't think you've made a coherent sentence yet. So, right. You could quickly summarize the what you could say is, well, that guy is a patsy, which I already think is incredibly stupid, but the assassin is a patsy. The real shooter was Israeli Mossad. And because the Egyptians, through the Abraham Accords, are allied with Israel, they allowed Egyptian military airplanes to fly in Israeli assassins with the blessing of the American intel services, because our government is co-opted and controlled by Zionist conservatives who either are Christians who love Israel so much that they would be willing to murder Charlie Kirk, and or Jews who think that if Charlie Kirk turns against the state of Israel, that is an existential political threat in the United States that cannot be tolerated. And the only solution is to murder Charlie Kirk and then to put his wife and Turning Point employees in his place and love bomb them with Zio-conservative cash. If she had balls, that's what she would say. But she doesn't have the balls to say it, nor does she have the evidence to support that narrative. Anyways.
That came out recently, talking about how Candace Owens says she left the cult of science, which explains why she doesn't actually vet anything she says, which I believe would show a reckless disregard for the truth, if you know what I'm implying there. Well, she put out a tweet last night, and we're going to break down the claims she's making, as well as Cam Higbee, who actually called the proper sheriff department and confirmed there was indeed a shooting at our property. Now, these people who follow Candace just want to believe. They don't care what's true, and no amount of evidence will change their mind. Hence, when some random guy calls the wrong police station and they say, I have no idea what you're talking about, he goes, aha! And then all of his followers are like, well, that proves it. When Cam Higbee then gets on the phone and they're like, yeah, this actually happened, we can confirm this, they go, I don't believe it. It's a fake phone call. You made it up. No, it can't be real. There's no standard with these people because they just want to believe it. Candace Owens, who speaks in the third person and in the plural, tweeted, the shooting, Tim.
Correct. That's another sign of somebody who's narcissistic when they start talking about themselves in the third person. I've met 2 or 3 narcissists who refer to themselves in the third person. Could you imagine if I started saying, Connor believes this, and it wasn't a joke? Could you imagine if I actually did that? That would be absolutely fucking psychotic. Anyways, what were we talking about? We got the Egyptian planes, we got the Asian special forces, we got the Zionist narrative, and then, oh, sorry, real quick. I'll let Tim continue to talk, but I'm gonna look for the Charlie Kirk text messages where he says he might have to stop being a Zionist because these people blackmailed him. I'm gonna look for that text message. I want to make sure Doobie is representing it correctly.
Pool survived in December of 2022, was committed by his brother, by the way. His brother was the one who fired the weapon on his property. He cannot deny this fact. Let me just make this very, very clear. I have never claimed to have survived a shooting that took place on my property where my brother fired, implying he fired upon me. Why is Candace framing it this way? Because she knows the actual story was that I tweeted out in December of 2022, 2 people broke into one of the properties I own, and a staff member opened fire on them because we have armed security and staff. Now, the response to this is people making insane claims that my brother Chris broke onto my property and then fled from security. I assure you, though my brother and I have fought as children and to different degrees in adulthood, I would say the last physical confrontation we ever had was probably when we were like 14 or 15, something like that. You know, because brothers fight sometimes. That's it.
Okay. So let's go ahead and read this because this actually does back up Doobie's assertion in reference to the Zionist thing. Charlie Kirk says, just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace on. Charlie Kirk says, Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. The person responds, please don't invite Candace. That might feel good short term, but it's not good long term, in my opinion. Like all groups, you're going to get wide variety of opinions. That nasty free will thing that God bestowed upon us makes life frustrating at times. So because Charlie Kirk had a $2 million a year donor pullout, which, by the way, isn't this kind of like, doesn't this kind of make Charlie Kirk a piece of shit, in my opinion? shouldn't you like support the Jewish cause or not support the Jewish cause based off of the merits of the Jewish cause? Like, I understand, like, when people aligned with you pay you, that's excellent. I parasocially love you guys. I'm so happy that you guys have donated and hung out and watched the content and all that kind of stuff. I feel like we're on some level on the same page. But should Charlie Kirk really stop being pro-Israel because people would draw money from his political organization? That's kind of fucking crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. Doobie says it wasn't just that donor. They also had a full-on intervention for him with a pro-Israeli billionaire and a phone call from Bibi in the Hamptons. Sure. But like, oh, okay. So sorry, hold on. Let me see if I'm understanding you correct, Doobie. So, and that meeting was misrepresented both by Bibi and the people there. So if I'm hearing you correct, Doobie, it's not because he's had this like massive principled change in perspective. It's because he felt like he was doing the right thing. And then when the going got rough, he felt like he was being strong-armed into his position. Therefore, he became less trusting of that position. I'm trying to use my emotional intelligence, which is very limited, but, you know, I'm assuming that's what you're implying. Yeah. After that meeting, he said he felt like he was being blackmailed. Okay. I think we said the same thing approximately.
But it's like that family thing. It's like, we're allowed to fight each other, but no one's allowed to besmirch the good name of my family. Candace Owens put survived in quotes. I never said those words relating to the burglary because...
Yeah, Kay said he was just venting in private. Imagine if your venting was made public and used as your feelings. Can I say Xander Hall is based? Do you remember when Cherry leaked his private messages where he's like, you know, Keffels has to die. Keffels and Keffels and Velvet and all her orbiters, they all have to die. Stop their hearts. I wouldn't even shoot them with a gun. I would beat them to death with it. Can I just say, based private venting Xander Hall?
I explicitly stated and was reported on our website, I was not at this property. So why did she put the word survived in quotes? Well, we can make the argument maybe she's trying to, do air quotes like survived, like, ho. That would imply I'm dead. If it was like, you're doing air quotes, like I didn't survive it. It would also, alternatively, imply I used that word. She's putting it in quotes, as if I claimed I survived a shooting. Never happened. Committed by his brother. The implication is pretty dang obvious, isn't it? There was a shooting committed by my brother, and I survived it. And what is the response from her followers? That my brother Chris tried to kill me, that he broke onto my property and tried to kill me. I can, with absolute certainty, say this is a lie. And Candace is intentionally misrepresenting a story published on our website about intruders being shot up by a staff member. Now, why would she do something like this? Why would Candace...
She's a B word.
Lie about something like this. Could it be that she's lying about everything? She's claiming Tim's in having some kind of personal issues. Well, I guess that's fair to say getting shot at is a personal issue. I'd call it a professional issue. She's saying that I'm having financial...
Old school. Weirdly enough, old school. I feel like you were in the community more often, but I forget your politics. Would you be willing to just share, if you're still around, what your politics are? Because you're like, Connor hasn't changed at all. And then now you're saying, can I respectfully suggest you go read Robert Axelrod's book, the Evolution of Cooperation? It's short and explains the game theory Destiny is referring to. I think you should have checked out the stream earlier. Pictures real quick. Sorry, I'm still answering like 2-hour-old chats. So this is what we discussed earlier today. Is that actually yesterday as well, dignity and honor culture, that there was barbarian retributive violence where if you kill a member of my tribe, I kill your entire tribe. Then there's eye for an eye, in which you have proportional justice, which is technically a step up. Then you have tit for tat, which means that you don't have to do the exact same thing your opponent does. You can do something different, but if somebody does something bad to you, you would impose an equivalent consequence on them, but it doesn't have to be illegal. It doesn't have to be violent. It just has to be proportional. And then 10% of the time, you actually shouldn't respond. You should push for cooperation. And then turning the other cheek is kind of like, in my opinion, it's shorthand for charitable cooperation. And so I feel like I understand the game theory perfectly fine. I think what's going on, though, old school, is that Destiny is saying that he's engaged in tit for tat with 10% cooperation. But I think that what Doobie and other digital creators, other JStock, Doobie, Esports Batman, Sherry, I'm trying to think of who else, but they're saying that he's either at minimum engaged in eye for an eye, and at maximum he's engaged in barbarian retributive violence, which makes him an immoral person and worthy of criticism and no longer being his friend. So, I mean, if you think I got something wrong, feel free to explain it in the current chat, but I feel like that's a perfectly decent assessment of moral positioning.
Distress. Well, if the argument is we are a profitable company, we are comfortable, and I have a $20,000 Meteorite John sitting next to me. However, due to the shots fired and the death threats and the assassination of Charlie Kirk, we now have to spend substantially more money on security. I'll take it. Yes. Financial concerns over the fact that we don't make enough money to
Rob, I promise I won't do a why I left the left thing.
Hire a round-the-clock security detail like would be required following the shots fired at our property. That is, we already have security, it's already expensive, and it's factored into the cost, and we are profitable. We have always don't ball twist. I brought it up. With old school in particular, I want to hear about moral reciprocity. I just don't want to get caught into exactly. I spoke about it first. I want to get into the morality of what's being done. I don't want to get into the specifically Destiny's a bad guy, you must disavow. If somebody says Destiny's a bad guy, you must disavow, twist their balls. If somebody says, here's how I conceptualize morality, do not twist their balls. We have never been in deficit, and I am doing just fine. Now she's saying, what did she say? Someone told me that she said that I lost a $100,000 poker game and came home and beat my wife or something like that. I have never played a 100,000 poker game, and the most
I don't care about any of this. I'm going to fast forward. I'm going to fast forward until the other person comes on, because I think that I might even fast forward a little bit more, because I want Tim Pool freaking out that she is an evil B word. As a matter of fact, fuck it. I'm just going to fast forward all the way up to here, past the Twitter stuff, because I want to see him freak out about Candace Owens being a B word.
Audience of millions. What does it say about us that Owens is listened to by anyone other than a psychiatrist? Well, I don't know who this guy is, but he's clearly a lefty. He says, I am used to debunking absurd right-wing arguments, but conservative podcaster and author Candace Owens is on another level entirely. Many of her proclamations are so bizarre, they seem better described as symptoms than ideas. She said the Munchkins and the Wizard of Oz are performing a satanic ritual when they celebrate the death of the Wicked Witch. She says Justin Trudeau, Barack Obama, Volodymyr Zelensky, and Emmanuel Macron are all gay. And it's not a coincidence. She has cast doubt on the crimes of Joseph Mengele, saying his ghoulish experiments sound absurd and would have been a waste of time and supplies. Naturally, she believes we faked the moon landing. In fact, all of our space programs were both fake and gay. She now claims the French Foreign Legion were involved in the killing of Charlie Kirk. Don't forget the U.S. military. And believes she herself is being pursued by assassins dispatched by the French government. No, she doesn't. She doesn't believe any of this. It's a soap opera. It's a drama.
Doobie, how much do I need to pay you to watch that philosophy video on morality? Nothing. I mean, if you want to super chat, it's appreciated, but you don't have to pay me anything. Tomorrow, just remind me tomorrow. Jump into chat and say, hey, watch this morality video, and I'll do it.
She conveys stories in a theatric, dramatic fashion. And I'll explain how. I'll give you a performance. Everyone, this is absolutely getting crazy. To claim my own brother tried to kill me? I love my brother. He loves me. We're family. We stick together, and no one will tear apart my family. That's Candace Owens. This is what she does. Snarling. Vicious. To think. To claim that some of the most important people in my life would try to take my own life. That's what she is. I've gotten a bunch of emails. Shocking revelations. And I've gotten people coming to me and talking about what she really does. And I want answers. I want answers. Who's she working for?
Okay, he's doing a sarcastic impersonation of Candace. I get it. And then, yes, also wearing the beanie or whatever. Yeah, dude, just own being bald. I'm not going to lie, guys. My hair started thinning a couple of years ago. My wife says it hasn't. God bless her. But my hair started thinning a little bit ago. And I was just like, damn, I'm going to have to shave this bitch eventually. And then I started growing it out recently, and I've really enjoyed growing it out. I don't know if I'm going to grow it out forever. I might just buzz it eventually. But I'm going to tell you, if I start losing my hair, I'm not doing shit. Okay? I'm not doing shit. I'm not taking a drug that makes me slightly dumber. I'm already pretty dumb. I'm not going to put in like random essential oils. I'm not going to do any of that kind of stuff. I'm just going to take a pair of clippers. I'm just going to buzz my head. All right? That's all that I'm going to do. That's all I'm going to do. And then somebody gave us a $10 super chat. The Azariah for 10 says, have you seen the latest Philosophy 2 video on having kids? No. Am I going to want to kill myself? Is she an antinatalist or is she pronatalist? Please tell me. Please tell me if she's antinatalist or pronatalist. Also, I'm just going to say it, dude. Guys, I'm like 2 hours behind on chat, on the historical chat, and I'm just going to engage with live chat. So if there's something crazy that you said that you wanted me to engage with, just say it again. I'm just going to engage with live chat. I also hate Philosophy Tube. I think that she is a shittier Counterpoints skinwalking clone, and half her arguments suck ass. So, and Counterpoints is stupid. God damn it. Doobie, what's wrong with you? You're just saying things to make me mad. Old School says your hair is just migrating to your chin. That's what I'll say. Anyways, no, Counterpoints is plenty smart. It's crazy you would say that she's stupid. She's not a stupid person.
Tune in next time to Candace Owens to find out who done it. And then the organ plays. Durr. Now she's going, Tim Pool's brother tried to kill him. Betrayal in the family. Oh, God, I can't believe it. Because it's the dramatic. It's exciting. It's like watching a TV show. It's funny because my buddy Robbie, I thought I had this tweet.
This isn't what I want. I want Tim Pool freaking out. Where's the short clip where Tim Pool is like screaming? Here we go.
Causing a shift in the political leanings of a generation for the first time in history is now in dire straits. Their leader and founder murdered, and prominent pieces of human trash are trying to destroy it. Candace Owens is a fucking evil scumbag.
Here we go. This is what I was looking for.
She is a degenerate cunt. She is burning everything down, and she's gloating and smiling while she does it. And you know what you fucking told me? She has no security. She doesn't fucking deal with the shit we have to deal with. She's a piece of shit. She's making everyone else suffer. And all of these fucking conservatives out there that send me these fucking messages have no fucking balls to call her out. More and more people have started doing it. They send me these fucking messages. Good for you, Tim. Good for you, Tim. I wasn't the first person to do it. I'm not going to take credit for that. But don't fucking DM me.
All right. So ever since
that's what I wanted. Okay. So anyways, we've kind of summarized it so far. Like I said, she's a conspiracist. She's an idiot. She's delusional. She's been astroturfed. She's an a-hole, all that kind of stuff. And then once again, I'm just going to bring it up, even though Doobie will probably trigger me again. Charlie Kirk, this is my belief at this time based on the currently available evidence. Charlie Kirk makes anti-trans arguments. A random lefty schizo takes issue with that and believes that he's a fascist because he's enabling the Trump regime and he wants to kill him. So he takes his grandpa's rifle that was apparently gifted to him by his father. That's something that Fasimo wanted us to know. All right. And then he goes to a college public event where Charlie Kirk is, and he shoots him from about 140 yards away and he kills him. People are sympathetic to the organization. Zionist conservatives flood the zone, trying to give enough money to TPUSA that it will remain a pro-Israel organization. And then Erica Kirk and the TPUSA team inherit Charlie's legacy. They're trying to figure out what the best path forward is. And then schizos are schizoing online for money. That's what I think happened. Okay. Now, the more interesting narrative, although I do think it's a little bit schizophrenic, is that Charlie Kirk started tepidly criticizing Israel, that as a result of tepidly criticizing Israel, Bibi Netanyahu, in a call from the Hamptons, a Israeli billionaire and a multimillionaire who is, well, actually either a billionaire or a millionaire, they tried to strong arm him into being more Zionist, and they withdrew funding for $2 million when they would not disavow Tucker Carlson. The donors feel betrayed because he won't disavow Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. Charlie not only complains about it in a text message, but he actually says that he might have to leave the pro-Israel movement, which, you know, I'm with Kay on this one. That sounds like some internal venting, but I'm with Doobie on the fact that that's kind of an extreme statement, saying that you're going to stop. You're not going to be pro-Israel anymore because the Jews keep trying to strong arm you. I think that's kind of ballsy. Charlie's killed. Erica and Turning Points USA step into the power gap. The Zionists dump money into TPUSA. The Zionists and the globalists benefit from Charlie's death. American Special Forces, this is Candace Owens, to be clear. This is not Charlie Kirk. But Candace Owens is just like pulling on random threads. She's just kind of like taking shit. She's like throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. She says that she got an email saying that American Special Forces were overheard in Asia talking about a political assassination days prior to the Charlie Kirk assassination. She also says that there was an Egyptian airplane without a transponder and with passengers that were using pseudonyms that was flying around the approximate time that Charlie Kirk was killed. And then I think the other thing that Doobie brought up that I think is actually probably more worthy of pulling threads on than anything else is that part of the reason why Charlie Kirk was disenchanted with the Israel movement and the Zionist movement was that whenever he was bringing up like Jeffrey Epstein and all that kind of shit, people were telling him to shut up. And so as a result, he was being strong-armed into not dealing with Zionist conservatism as a result of that. My problem with that, of course, is that why would the patsy confess to the crime? Why would the murder weapon be found so easily within 48 hours? Why would we have text messages, Discord messages, and all that kind of stuff from the patsy saying that he committed the crime? Why would, what else? Why would the dad turn him in for the crime? Why would the trans roommate snitch on the patsy? Why any of this shit, right? Why any of this shit? So, excuse me. So that's where, for me, like trying to put these pieces together, these pieces don't make sense. If you want to say the Zionist conservatives have benefited from Charlie's death, okay. That doesn't explain the actual mechanics of the shooting. So let's just put it together real quick. Let's try to put it together. And I'm not trying to straw man, but I'm not trying to steel man either. Okay. Egypt is a U.S. ally. And there were Israeli cell phones on the scene of the day of Charlie's death. Now, people say they're international students, but let's presume that they're Israeli intelligence and assassins. Okay. Mr. Birian, thank you for the $2 super sticker that says vibes with stars around it. I can see it now because I have it pulled over here. Thank you, Mr. Birian. I appreciate you. So anyway, so let's put it together. So Bibi Netanyahu, Israeli billionaire, and a bunch of Zionist conservatives think that Well, Charlie Kirk has fallen out of orbit, and there's no way to talk to him. There's no way to strong arm him. There's no way to blackmail him back into being a Zionist conservative. And he's running one of the most powerful youth outreach organizations on the planet. So if he becomes a critic of Israel and tries to dig into the Epstein files, it's going to be a problem for us. So we need to kill him. And we need to get everybody else to become Zionist conservatives. So what we're going to do is we're going to hire Mossad assassins, because of course this is an Israeli-based operation. We are going to have them fly on an Egyptian intelligence aircraft and use pseudonyms. That way nobody knows that it's Israeli. That way, if they do find the flight logs, then they won't know that it's Israeli assassins. We are going to have the Israeli assassins shoot Charlie Kirk, but at the same time, we are going to beam using mind control technology that is currently unknown to the human species. We are actually going to beam a hallucination of this event into the mind of a left-wing schizophrenic, and then we're going to blame him for the shooting. And then we're going to leave Utah using an Egyptian intelligence aircraft with a fake manifest and pseudonyms. That way we can get the Mossad back out of America. And by the way, while we're conducting this clandestine assassination, one of the largest and most public clandestine political assassinations in the world, we're also going to tell the American intelligence community and the American Special Forces community about it. That way they can be overheard talking about it on the other side of the planet. But anyways, I'm going to run. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Have a beautiful day. Bye for now.